mentioned before, is there any chance or any knowledge that you have that anybody deleted stuff from his phone?
I mean, Nolan was like a brother to me. Nolan lit up every room he walked in. 4th of July, everybody was out there. Nolan rode out on the Triton, and then we had a Palm Beach, 18 Palm Beach. There was 4 guys on that. The rest of the group, which was ranged from maybe 10 to 15 or 16 people on my buddy's tide line.
Yeah, so y'all pretty much having a good time. And then you guys get ready to leave prematurely.
Right.
And like, what? Explain that, because you guys got there around 10.
Yeah.
It's now 4:30.
Right.
People are still out there partying, and
Correct.
they're having a good time, but something happened to where it necessitated you guys to get the boat up and running. Can you explain that?
Yeah. So I had a girl come up to me and say, "Hey, your brother just got in a fight." And obviously I have a younger brother, and that's who she was talking about, and I was freaked out. So I walked over to the beach, and I didn't walk over. I ran over. I made a beeline. I didn't talk to anybody. Put my drink down and walked over there. And my brother was kind of angry, and there was a lot going on. But someone was getting pulled away. I don't know who it was. And my brother was like, "Oh, I just got in a fight, and this guy punched me in the face, and I punched him right back." And then went to the ground, and my brother put him in an armbar. And
was Nolan involved in any of this?
Absolutely not. When I was over there, it was a bunch of younger guys like my brother's age, and I mean, Nolan. I never saw Nolan over there.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. And okay, sorry, I just lost my train of thought.
So you get ready to go. There's an issue with the boat.
Okay, yeah.
And this is what
this led up to that. That's what I was saying.
So the fight happened with your brother, or a little scuffle. I'm assuming that it was cleared up.
Right.
You got your brother out of that situation, and then how did you find out that this boat is sinking?
Well, I walk back over, and like we're probably around each other for a little bit. I mean, I wasn't thinking anything of it. I told my brother, I pulled my brother off the beach, and I was just like, "Listen, get in the water, hang out with us, calm down." I mean, he was calm, but I didn't want anything else to happen, And so once I got back over to the boat, I got on the Triton, and the Triton had probably about 6 inches of water up to the transom. And I was freaked out because I'm good friends with Wyatt, and that was his boat. And, no water's coming out, no access water's coming out. And it was a big issue, because I think the reason was because there were so many people getting on and off the boat, and at some point the boat was very, very crowded, and there was just a lot of people on, so that it drags water in. And eventually, I think over time, we were out there for a couple hours, the boat just started filling up with water. So I popped the starboard side hatch, and the battery was completely underwater, and so the motor wouldn't trim down. I mean, my buddy would go to trim it down from the console, and it'd trim down, and then it'd come right back up. And so Wyatt's trying to throw a rear anchor, so we're caught, and he's, yelling at people. Everybody's kind of freaking out. And eventually, I'm like yelling at other people, trying to tell them, calm down. Like, the boat could possibly sink, and I'm not paying attention to everyone around me. I was paying attention to my buddy's boat. And that's what all my other friends that were on that boat were doing, trying to solve the problem.
So you're on the boat now. The water's getting up to the point where the boat may be disabled to where you couldn't get it out.
Correct.
From Horn Island. So what happens after that?
Wyatt jumps in the water, tries to throw a rear anchor, and my buddy Meyer, he was sitting looking and trying to pull trash out the bilge. And the bilge is basically a pump that pulls the access water out the boat. So the bilge was failing to work. So any excess water was just sitting in the boat. It wasn't getting pumped out. And I looked over the gunnel, and I looked at the release hole for the bilge, and it was even with the water. So, I mean, we're all freaking out. All of our, we're not focused on anything else other than the boat. Well, then eventually my buddy Bart on the tide line is like, "I'm going to pull y'all out to where we're out of all this, all this chaos." Because we left at 4:30, and there was still just as many people there, if not more, than when we got there. I mean, probably around the same amount. I mean, it was crazy. Like, there was a lot of people. And, I mean, eventually, Bart pulls us out. You know, we left at 4:30, but we really weren't pulled out away from everybody. We were probably about a quarter mile out, and we had the towing strap pulled from, you know, Bart's port side cleat or starboard side cleat, and he was on our starboard side bow, and so it was rubbing on his power pole. So Bart turned around, pulled up next to our boat, and we were just trying to get it situated. So that's when Wyatt called Cito, and Wyatt was like, you know, calls him, because the cell service isn't great at the island, but once you can use your phone, but stuff might not just send, and like, I mean, it's not great. You know, you got maybe one bar, it won't work that well. But once you get a little off the island, you have cell coverage, and even on the island, like I called my mom when we were on the island. You know, it was fine. Like we had, you know, enough cell coverage to make a phone call or shoot a text over, but you don't have enough cell coverage to like send a picture, for example. So Wyatt.
So I want to go back.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I want to touch on that real quick, because the phone thing came up at some point. And so was it when you guys got off the boat?
Yeah.
I mean, were people taking their phones off the boat, or is that not typical? Because I know that Nolan's phone was left on the boat,
right?
Even though, you know, after you guys had left. So can you explain that? Because I think people need to understand this a little clearer.
Yeah.
Was it typical for people to have their phones left on boats, or did they carry phones in the water?
Yeah. I mean, everybody kind of goes out to the island to get away from, you know, their phones and everything else. I know I got on the boat to get away from, you know, just the regular world. And no, when you're waist deep in water, no one's carrying their phone in their hand. Especially at Horn Island, the water has been very, very murky because of the rain, and when it's just very risky. If you're gonna have your phone in the water, you know, some people might for a couple minutes and like maybe taking some pictures of each other. You know, I know a lot of girls like to take pictures in the water at Horn Island. You know, guys do too. You know, like people like to take pictures, and but a lot of the pictures you see are on the boat for a reason, and so no, I mean, if someone is on their phone in the water, they're using it real quick and then putting it right back on the boat. We were all waist deep in water. No one's sitting there scrolling on their phone. I never saw that once, and I've never seen that once, and I've been out the island my whole life. I mean, that's just not something people do. People aren't on their phones, and everybody has their phone, yes, but it's always on the boat. No one's getting off the boat with their phone. So.
And so you guys get ready to leave out of there. You're getting towed out.
Yeah.
And then where's Nolan in this situation?
Well, Nolan was, the last time I saw Nolan was 3:00. And Nolan was cradling a girl in his arms, Katie. Katie. And Katie, Nolan was sitting there, and the last time I saw him, I looked at Nolan, and Nolan was like shaking his head, laughing, and I was like, dude, you crazy. I was like just joking with him. And, but anyway, Nolan, that was the last time I laid eyes on him. But when we were leaving, obviously, no one is getting left at the island that came with us unless they demanded to, you know, be there and asked, you know. This is a very common thing at Horn Island. When you're out there, a lot of people ride out there with someone and in with somebody else all the time. I've done that 100 times. You know, it's a very common thing, but Nolan was sitting by the boat with that Katie girl, and my buddy yelled for Nolan, get on the boat. We're leaving. The boat's having issues. And like, no, he didn't say that, but he was panicking. Nolan, get the F on the boat. Get on the boat. And Nolan said, no, I'm staying out here. I'm going to ride in with somebody else. And it's not uncommon to hear, but it's not like my buddy asked him one time. My buddy asked Nolan multiple times to get on the boat. Nolan, get on the boat. Get on the boat. We're leaving. If you're coming, you got to come now. And Nolan made a decision to stay out on the island. And like he said, you know.
How many people heard that? Where there's
at least
just a
five
few,
I mean, everyone that was on our boat right there, because the Palm Beach had already left. My buddy went ahead and went home on the Palm Beach, and three guys on the way back. And Nolan wasn't the only person to ride out there with us and in with somebody else. I mean, we had multiple people in our group that rode out with us and rode in on someone else's boat. And that, like I said, that's not an uncommon thing to do, you know? I mean, a lot of people do that. I could name probably 50 people out there that day that ran out with somebody and ran back in with somebody else. So, I mean, it's not like it's an uncommon thing, but it's not like we just left him there or my friends just left him there. Nolan made a decision to stay on the island after my friends asked him multiple times and told him to get on the boat, and he decided to stay.
And I heard the girl that he was with, Katie, had text somebody that she heard people yelling for Nolan to get on it.
Yeah, this is part 3 of the interview that Officer Tater had with this young man. This is part 3 of it.
Yeah, and I have a picture of that. She texted my buddy, and the next day everybody was panicking and everybody's texting Katie, you know, because she was obviously seen with Nolan the whole day at the island. Katie sent a message to my buddy the next day and said, you know, this is the last time I saw him, you know, he's really sweet. But she also mentioned that the last time she saw Nolan was when my buddy was yelling at him to get on the boat. And she was right there to see that Nolan decided not to.
Yeah, and so you guys get in the boat, you start to get towed in, and you make it back. Now, explain how did you get to the point where you were concerned about Nolan? Because obviously you said, hey, Nolan, y'all need to, or somebody, not
when
you,
did I get
but
to that point?
You guys had made mention Nolan needed to get on a boat.
Yeah.
You didn't.
Yeah.
You guys get back to wherever you're going.
Right.
Explain that. Did you guys go back to somebody's house, or you guys like what happened there? And then when did you feel like, well, wait a minute, where's Nolan?
Right. Okay. Well, running in was very chaotic. I mean, Nolan chose to stay on the island, so my focus wasn't on anything else other than the boat, you know, because if the boat doesn't get in, then no one gets in, you know. I don't want to sink out there on my buddy's boat, and no one does, but my buddy Wyatt jumped out and pulled the plug on the boat once we kind of got out there, because he got the motor to trim down, and the motor trimmed down. My buddy Wyatt pulled the plug, and we planed off. We moved all the way to the front of the boat so we could plane off, and eventually we planed off, and the boat was running. So when you're planed off and you have water in the boat and you're hauling, you know, we're going pretty fast. We're going probably 40, 42 miles an hour. And so all that excess water that was built up in the boat is coming out of the boat. So, I mean, that's what we had to do. So we ran into Fort Bayou, and we didn't just run straight to my buddy's grandparents' house. We ran into Fort Bayou. A couple of us jumped in the water, and Wyatt, like, the whole reason for the stop was so Wyatt could hop in and put the plug back in the boat. So then after that, we went and docked it, and I went back to my buddy's house, and we ate and, you know, napped for a little bit. It was a long day at the island, so, you know, we were all tired. And eventually we go over to a girlfriend of mine. She was having people over for 4th of July. We were doing like fireworks and stuff. So we all went over there to swim and, you know, hang out. And
this infamous picture that I've seen online of Nolan in the water in the swimming pool.
Yeah.
Where is this picture associated with? Because you said you guys went back to swim. Nolan wasn't with you.
Yeah.
So where's this picture at? Like, what is it? What's the context around that picture that's been floating?
That picture is taken on June 27th, a week before the 4th of July. We all went to a friend of ours in Pass Christian. We have a lot of friends from Bay St. Louis, Pass Christian. We all went over there to hang out, and, you know.
And Nolan was in that picture?
Nolan was in that picture. And if you look in the picture, my arm is around Nolan in that picture, you know. And, I mean, that was a week before the 4th of July, so that picture is not associated within even the same. I mean, that was like a week before, so, yeah.
So you guys are now at swimming and having a good time at a lady friend's house.
Right. I never got to the pool. I talked to her dad for a while, and I mean, all my friends were downstairs. I went upstairs, talked to her dad. We were talking about boats and stuff, and, you know, I've been with my friends all day. I was just talking to everybody, but.
So you talked to the young lady's dad, and then then how long was it before you realized, or you guys realized that, well, where's Nolan at?
I mean, I went back downstairs, and all my friends were just hanging out, and my buddy Wyatt had addressed, talking about Nolan, and I was like, well, where is Nolan? Have y'all heard from him? And he was like, no, we haven't. And I was like, okay, well, it's a little concerning. Like, I mean, I'm not freaking out or anything, but like, I'm trying to find out where Nolan is. So I texted Javon, and I was like, hey, and also a couple other buddies that I had at the island. I was like, hey, have y'all seen Nolan? Did he ride in with y'all? And all the buddies were like, no. Well, I texted Javon, and I was like, hey, can you send me Miss Christine's number? Because I haven't heard from Nolan. And if she hasn't heard from Nolan, then I'm calling the Coast Guard. And so eventually, Javon sends me her number.
Who is her? That's
Miss Christine.
Miss Christine is
Nolan's mom.
Nolan's mom.
Yeah. And I walked down to the dock because, I mean, there was a lot of people at Ava's. Not a lot, but, there was probably 15 of our friends there. And I was just like, walked down to the dock with a couple of my buddies, and I got on the phone I called Miss Christine, called her the first time. She didn't answer. I called her a second time, and I got on the phone with her, and I asked her if she had heard from Nolan. She said no. And I said, all right, well, don't freak out. I'm going to call the Coast Guard. And this was at about 11 o'clock.
So what's your intent in calling the Coast Guard, right? Because right now, Nolan could be with a chick. He could be with somebody else.
Right.
He could have gone back with somebody else. What made you concerned enough that you felt like you couldn't weigh it out anymore? You had to call the Coast Guard.
Well, I mean, like I said, my friends and I have been on the water our whole life. Stuff happens. People die all the time. I know people that have died out there. And, it's a fun place to be, but it's also a very, very dangerous place to be if you're not handling it right. And Nolan, so I hadn't heard from him. And obviously, I'm thinking I'd way rather be safe than sorry. I mean, I would rather call the Coast Guard 100 times and lose my mind over it and my buddy be okay than, not, and, me not know where he is and him not be okay. And so I called the Coast Guard, and I talked to them on the phone for like 20 minutes, gave them a description, what Nolan was wearing, the last place we were at, the last time I saw him, who we were with, what boat we were on, the conditions of the water, just a summary. And I called Miss Christine back after, and I talked to her, and I said I got in contact with the Coast Guard. I'm not sure who she called or what she did, but I think she said she was going to make a couple phone calls to either DMR or Jackson County Sheriff's Office, and I was thinking worst case scenario. Like, I would way rather be safe than sorry about this.
Yeah. So you called. So it seems like you called mom immediately.
Right.
Probably the first phone call that she got from anybody.
That's the first phone call, like, at least I made. And I would assume that's the first phone call she got from anybody because Javon hadn't called her. And, there's nothing wrong with that, but Javon hadn't called her. And, I was just worried about my friend. Stuff happens out there. Boat problems, it could be anything. But, there's a lot of stuff that happens out there, and I was just worried about my friend.
And so you guys made that call, nothing that night. And I'm assuming you wake up the next day, and then what happens?
I wake up the next day at about 7:30, and my dad had texted me because obviously Nolan's photo was all over Facebook, and I just saw it everywhere, and I was freaked out because I was like, oh my gosh, like I assumed Nolan's just we had been drinking all day, and that he's just sleeping somewhere, and that he's okay, but I didn't want to believe that if we didn't know for sure. So next day I woke up, and my stepdad walked to my room, and he said, hey, like, have they heard anything about Nolan? Like, what's going on? Because I hadn't spoke to him, and he was like, I was like, yeah, no, like, I don't know. I had just gotten up, and he was like, all right, well, we're going and getting on the boat and looking for him. And I was like, okay, yeah. So I got my buddy Ricky, I got my buddy Brooks, I got my buddy Jax. My mom came on the boat with my stepdad and I, and we all went out there and looked. When I got out there was dozens of DMR boats, helicopters, planes flying over Horn Island, And this wasn't just Horn Island. There was also Ship Island they were looking at, I'm sure, and Chandelier Island, Petty Boy. I mean, it wasn't just Horn Island specifically, but where I was at Horn, there were boats everywhere, and not just like random boats, but like, you know, marine resource boats and, you know, cops and, you know, the whole nine. Like, it wasn't like there was just a couple boats looking for Nolan. There was planes and helicopters and, you know, everybody. So.
And then after this, you know, obviously they didn't find Nolan that day.
Right.
And so what was your reaction like when you heard the news, or how did you hear the news that they found Nolan's body?
Well, the next day, well, it got to be about 1 o'clock on July 5th, and I was like, my mind started to turn. I was like, man, you know, if he's not awake yet, like, where is he? Like, you know, like I got very, very worried. And, you know, I was with my buddy Brooks the next day, and we're driving, and my buddies were texting my group chat. They were like, hey, listen, and then I got a phone call from my buddy Trace, and he was like, hey, man, they just found his body. And I was like, I wanted to have hope, but it was really, really hard to have hope when they haven't found your buddy in the last 2 days. And, but there's still a little bit of hope there, you know, like maybe, you know, he's not gone and maybe, you know, he's okay. But my reaction was just, I was with my buddy Brooks, and I broke down. I mean, I haven't experienced death a lot, but especially with someone I'm as close with as Nolan. And I mean, I broke down, and I sat there on my buddy Brooks' shoulder, and I cried. And I was upset. I made a couple phone calls to my buddies and checked up on my buddies because, you know, I care about my buddies too. I mean, like, we're all experienced this. Like, we all realized at the same time. We all heard the news at the same time. Like, you know, he's gone. And so it was really, really hard on me. I mean, I've never experienced something like this, and it was traumatic. I mean, I could tell you where and when I was there, when I got that phone call, you know, where I was. And I just remember, like, it was insane. Like, I can't even put into words how upset I was, you know, and how upset my friends were. So.
And then comes the stories and the backlash and the craziness. I mean, you guys are now hearing that you're responsible for it. You did it. You killed Nolan. So what was the next step? Did you guys ever engage with police or?
Yeah, so the first time I talked to the police was July 7th. I talked to the lead investigator, and I told him my whole story, top to bottom, dotted every I, crossed every T. I told him everything I knew, every little detail. I mean, everything I could, you know, tell them to try to figure something out, you know.
Were you the only one to talk to the cops, or?
No, of course not. You know, every person that was included, especially, you know, the guys that you see on social media, everybody cooperated with the police fully. You know, Nolan was with us on the way out, and he rode out on the boats with us. So, I mean, we were the first people to get questioned. I mean, we cooperated with the police the first time they called us, and, you know, we talked to them, you know, as soon as they needed, and we were fully cooperative.
And we see Benjamin Crump coming in town, made it about race.
Right.
What's your feeling about that? Do you think that any of this has anything to do with race? Or, because, I mean, obviously something happened to Nolan. It appears that you guys may not have been involved at all. When I say may not, it's no evidence that you were involved at all. Right. You guys had left.
Right.
But do you think that there's a racial component to any of this?
Of course not. I mean, I think if Nolan ever felt the most little bit uncomfortable around us, which we never gave him a reason to, but if he did, he wouldn't hang out around us. But if you go look on, you know, like, my friends have had Nolan posted all over our social medias, you know, since freshman year in high school. Like, if Nolan ever felt uncomfortable with us, why would he be hanging out with us all the time? I mean, every day we're back from college, we hang out, and we're around each other all the time. So absolutely not. I would never look at Nolan any other way than I would any of my other friends. I mean, he was like a brother to me.
You guys had been interviewed by law enforcement. All of you guys have given statements. But then I think that there's a part associated with this that's being rumored out in the public. And that is a situation with the cell phone, potential deletion of messages. When did that occur, and what happened there?
choose the best option for yourself depending on the type of content you want to stream. With any of these options, make sure to plan ahead and test out your sound and visuals beforehand with an unlisted or private stream.
The man accused of killing 3 people over an apartment parking spot will stay behind bars. All 3 victims were employees of Davern Park Apartments in St. Paul. They were 25-year-old Nancy Zambrano, 56-year-old Dina Silcox, and 43-year-old Adam Wilwerding. Prosecutors charged Saab Benesu with their murders. County deputies arrested him 200 miles north of St. Paul near Virginia. Adam Duxter shows us where the case goes from here and the lasting impact for those who knew the victims.
If you want to understand what it's like to live at Davern Park Apartments.
Oh, it's home, and a lot of people would wonder why we stayed here so long.
You need to meet Roxanne Habeck. She and her husband have called this place home.
Everybody's just like a family here, you know.
For 36 years, which makes what happened Monday.
It came on the news that 3 people were dead, and they showed our apartment, and my heart went down to my feet, and it's like, oh my God, that's our apartment building.
So difficult. 3 family members killed. On Wednesday morning, the man accused, Saab Benesu, appeared in Ramsey County Court for the first time with a public defender by his side. A judge set his next appearance for mid-August with a reserve bond of $10 million. Wednesday.
She would take time to talk to you.
Roxanne remembering Nancy, Adam, and Dina, who she says would always make time to chat.
They would be serving and always, how you doing? And, you know, they all were like that. My husband said, my God, Roxy, you're retired. You can talk all day. You know, she's working and she's on her lunch break. And I said, but she would tell me if she had to go, but she wouldn't. She would take time out for you. We're hurting, but I said, she's in a better place and God has his arms wrapped around her.
Boy. So we got to talk about a pretty wild story out of the St. Paul, Minneapolis area involving a triple homicide, execution style, done by a migrant from Ethiopia who was upset with what initially was a parking garage dispute that, again, escalated into an execution. But at the same time, this guy apparently was fed up with the so-called American system, right? He did not seem to like this country due to the immigration process of trying to get his wife and his kids over to the United States of America. It has been like 7 years and he hasn't had much luck, okay? And that is part of the reason why he went on this rampage. So I want to talk about it because stories like this, I think, should get a lot more attention. It is being swept under the rug.
What up,
so without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it.
Good afternoon.
30-year-old man is facing murder charges after he allegedly shot and killed 3 employees at the apartment complex where he lived.
This all happened inside the leasing office of the Davern Park Apartments in St. Paul late yesterday afternoon. Fox 9's Karen Scullin joining us now with what we've learned today as the charges were filed. Karen?
Really just a horrific incident unfolded here at the leasing office, and charging documents show it was all caught on surveillance camera. 2 employees shot 6 times each. A 3rd employee killed off camera, but screams and 4 shots could be heard.
Wow.
Flowers in memory of 3 people killed inside the leasing office of Davern Park Apartments. All of them employees of Mid-Continent Management Corporation. Nancy Zambrano of Invergrove Heights, Adam Wilwerding of Oakdale, and Dina Silcox of St. Paul. Last night, as word spread about what happened, the grief was palpable, the pain felt by many. These men have been living at Davern Park for a combined 32 years and knew Dina Silcox well.
I was sad, real sad. I lost a good friend.
Last night, the men recall a lot of chaos just before 5 p.m.
I was in my back. I live in the back here. I was laying on my couch, and I heard 8 gunshots. And like he was just saying, Whitey right here was saying that I went up to knock on his door and I asked him, did he hear anything?
And it was just like half the police department went out here in front, and it really got crazy at night. I mean, they were all over, and then the helicopters were flying above us. So then they had the yellow tape, of course.
Charging documents say 30-year-old Segab Binesu told investigators he had planned to join the military and sold his car. He called the leasing office to cancel his parking contract, but was told he couldn't do that. Binesu admits then going to the office, but did not say what happened there. However, court documents show that a surveillance camera inside the office caught everything as it unfolded. Binesu was arrested hours later, about 100 miles away in Virginia, Minnesota, in one of the victim's cars. Binesu had on him his passport, social security card, his permit to carry, and an empty magazine.
All I know is that whoever let him in, I wish to God they never let him in, but, you know, they let him in and he did what he had to do and he took off.
Now, in those court documents, Binesu also complained to investigators that he had been trying to get his family over here from Ethiopia for 7 years and could not. Ultimately, that led to divorce and separation from his family. He said he felt targeted because he was black and immigrant. Now, the management company that takes care of this property here did release a statement today that said, in part, our hearts are broken for the family and friends of these team members, and our prayers are with them. In St. Paul, Karen Scott.
Wow. So we have an African migrant who basically got upset that he couldn't get his way, right? When it comes to getting his family from overseas to come to the United States. And he decided to take out his anger on some apartment complex employees, right? Killing them, execution style, over a parking dispute. Okay. Now, again, apparently he said that he hated the American system. He said he felt targeted because he is black and an immigrant. So he's essentially playing victim here. And that is what led to, I guess, him losing it and deciding that, you know, this was the appropriate way to go about handling his issues, right? The first thing that came to mind, is, hey, well, if you love your family so much, then why don't you go back, right? If you want to be with your wife, you want to be with your kids, and they're having a hard time immigrating to the United States, right? Going through the legal process, which I understand, I get it, it's tough, right? Why don't you just go to Ethiopia, right? Go back to where you came from.
Just go back.
Right? Go back to where you came from. If you hate the American system so much, which is what he said. If you felt targeted, then why do you need to be here? Why don't you just go there and live happily with, you know, your family? Will Tim Walsh give this man a pardon and say, oh, well, see, he was just upset that he couldn't be with his family, right? I mean, it's possible, considering how Tim Walsh is out here giving pardons to rapists, right?
Yeah.
Pedophiles. Okay, literal pedophiles and defending it.
Did that make us any safer? Did that make the children that are left behind any more stable? Did it improve the idea that we can't all be judged by our worst day? And I want to be very clear, these are horrific crimes. They often are.
Yeah, so in my opinion, I think that the fact that this guy went on this rampage kind of justifies the decision from the U.S. government when you talk about his family migrating from Ethiopia to the United States, right? I think it justifies them rejecting them because, again, if you're going to do something like that, then it's better to, you know, leave people who are prone to committing these types of acts of violence in the countries that they're from, right? It's a great thing that the immigration system did not allow them in because, again, clearly, this guy, again, is prone to violence, and bringing his family over here probably would not have been good for this country, right?
No, we're not.
So, with that being said, we also have apparently Somali gangs out in the Minneapolis, St. Paul area. Apparently, they're out of control to the point where they're having community meetings, and this is now becoming a big deal. Again, something that the mainstream liberal media told us, hey, this is not a thing. Don't worry about it. The Somalis, all they do is contribute positively. That, you know, all this is right-wing bigotry and hate. But it seems like Somalis are fed up with the violence happening in their own community.
Thanks for joining us tonight for your 10 at 10 on Fox 9 and Fox Local. I'm Randy Meyer. Our top story tonight, the Ramsey County Sheriff hosting a community meeting to address concerns about Somali youth gangs. Maury Glover was there and joins us live with the details. And Maury, this ended up being a delicate topic, but one the sheriff felt was necessary.
Well, that's right. Our cameras were not allowed in the meeting because some parents did not want their kids to know they were here. Still, the sheriff had a lot to say about what he calls a growing problem.
There's never a good time to have a hard conversation. That's the problem. But the longer we go in not having this conversation, the more people are going to die.
You want rookie on the drill? You want rookie on the drill?
Says there are 12 Somali gangs involving about 300 young people who are responsible for 14 murders and more than 100 shootings over the last couple of years. Investigators say many of these crimes involve automatic weapons and are fueled by social media. Now, Sheriff Fletcher says the goal of the meeting is to educate Somali parents about the scope of the issue and get them to work with law enforcement to solve the problem.
Most of the parents are not aware where their kids at. Their kids are out in the middle of the night until sometimes at 6 in the morning, and parents don't know where they at. And that's why we have a meeting today to let the community know and have the parents on our side, because we need a strong community policing if we want to solve this problem. And parents didn't play a big part for this.
We are so sad as community. We don't know. We need help. And we need to stand off these problems and to eliminate and to do something with our community, because we are suffering. Some of them, they already get the pain, and some they're in a fear. Maybe your son will be killed. Maybe you don't know what will happen in the future.
I do hope that, some of the mothers here that have lost youth, I hope that they get something from this. I hope that they're heard. And, I hope that the Somali youth that are in gangs find a better path and ideally, find better role models and exit the life.
Now, in all, about 200 people showed up for the meeting, which lasted about an hour, and the sheriff says he'll have another meeting in a couple of weeks that will focus on solutions. Reporting live in Arden Hills, Maury Glover.
Nothing to see here, right? According to the media, right? Somali fraud, nothing to see here. Okay, mass fraud, daycare, nothing to see here. Mass Somali gangs running around murdering people, crime out of control, nothing to see here, right? According to the media. But, hey, I think that stories like this are just, examples of the consequences of mass migration, right, into a country where you are letting in a bunch of people from, the third world, from the global south. Okay, you let a bunch of them in, and, this is what you get as a result. It is what it is, right? But again, they don't want us to talk about it. They don't want us to have a conversation about this, right? They want you to sweep it under the rug and let's just move on, right? Let's not talk about this. This doesn't exist, right? There aren't any issues, right? It's perfect. Nothing but positive contributions, right? But yeah, you got Somali gangs running around all over the place. You got Ethiopian migrants who are, murdering people, innocent people, random people, really, apartment employees, over parking disputes because, he's upset that he can't get his way, right? When it comes to immigration, like it's wild. It really is. But again, all this is allowed under the Democrats, people like Tim Walz. Okay. And this is what you're going to get at the national scale if Democrats ever take back power and control. This is exactly what we're going to get. This is what they're going to unleash, right?
Iran is attempting to break the Strait of Hormuz.
This struck Iran for a 12th straight night. According to CENTCOM, the focus of these strikes was once again on degrading Iran's ability to target vessels in the Strait of Hormuz. CENTCOM released a statement saying more than 50,000 U.S. service members are operating across the Middle East and remain highly vigilant, focused, lethal, and ready. This follows a new warning from President Trump on Wednesday when he posted to Truth Social saying from this point forward, anytime Iran shoots at a ship in the Strait of Hormuz, whether it be by missile, rocket, drone, or any other device or weapon, the United States will bomb and destroy one bridge or power plant including those located next to or in the capital city of Tehran.
So now what's
While no
gonna
vessels
happen?
were attacked in the strait overnight, a Saudi-owned oil tanker was targeted in the Red Sea by Houthi forces in Yemen.
Oh, that's
President
bad
Trump
news.
spoke yesterday from Georgia about the ongoing conflict and the possibility of negotiations.
They're trying to widen the conflict.
They're getting hit so hard, and they want to make a deal. But I say they're not ready to make a deal. Because every time they make a deal, they want to change it and everything. They're not ready. They'll be ready very soon.
But what did we hear from the fake news media? Oh, Iran has tricked Trump. Oh, nobody working with Trump has any plan. They don't understand who they're dealing with. These people are idiots. They've gotten us into a forever war. Well, is that really true? Watch this.
Okay, these people who are calling us every day begging, let's do a deal. They send us messages through other countries, third countries. I mean, they're running out of countries to send. Even I had countries here coming up to me. Oh, I just spoke to the Iranians. They want to do a deal. The problem is, every time these people do a deal, they either break it or after they make it, they want to change the deal. So they're probably not ready to do a deal yet, but they will be soon because the price they're paying is very high despite their tough talk and their flowery language and their stupid Lego videos they put out. I've never seen them, but they put these things out on social media. Despite all that bravado.
It sounds like the U.S. administration thinks there can be peace, just not, well, a military that was built up over many years with the help of various appeasing U.S. presidents still wants something that's not very good for the world at all. Watch.
Overnight, Iran launched new attacks against U.S. bases in Kuwait, with additional attacks expected today.
Terrible.
Sirens were sounding earlier in Bahrain.
Trey, any word from the Saudis on two of their ships being hit? Have they commented?
Yeah, they hit Saudi tankers. This is wild.
They've not yet commented, but this is certainly an escalation because it means it's not just rhetoric from the Houthis in Yemen. And Secretary of State Rubio spoke earlier specifically about the threat from the Houthis. And he said, look, they're getting dragged into this conflict by Iran. They were smart to stay out of Operation Epic Fury. But if they get more directly involved, the possibility of U.S. or Israeli strikes against the Houthis is certainly on the table. We've seen it before.
And that might be what Iran wants. They think that having this conflict get wider and having more countries get dragged into it gives them some sort of leverage over the entire world. Strait of Hormuz over here, but oil production can also travel through the Red Sea, where there could be other problems, and this is where these other tankers are getting hit, these Saudi Arabian tankers. So now you have an even wider conflict if the Houthis jump in. But as you're about to see, that might be a big mistake. Look at this.
The Houthis claiming attacks on two Saudi oil tankers as the Iran-backed group's blockade threatens shipping in the Red Sea, forcing other oil tankers to change course. Secretary of State Marco Rubio speaking about the attacks this morning. Listen to this.
Look, I hope that they'll stop. They shouldn't really do that. They got suckered into this by the Iranians. You know, the Houthis largely were smart and stayed out of all this throughout the conflict. But they now apparently have gotten themselves suckered into this, going after Saudi Arabia and their ships. I hope that will de-escalate because I think the Houthis, frankly, got snookered into this thing by the Iranians.
Everyone
and a U.S.-based risk advisor focused on Yemen said the attacks could prompt a military response by Saudi Arabia, an Iranian adversary that has relied on Red Sea routes in recent months to export millions of barrels of oil. Senior fellow at the Hudson Institute, Rebecca Heinrich, joins me now. Rebecca, there's really two parts to this, and Marco Rubio, he touched on the first part. You know, really, Iran is now having the Houthis do their dirty work by...
And those two parts both have to do with one thing. As oil gets out of this area of the world without Iran's permission, the leverage they keep claiming that they have and that they keep trying to use as a stick to hammer the rest of the world, everyone sees they don't actually have that leverage, and that is weakening them. Check this out.
Right, so the Houthis are an Iranian proxy group, so they're funded and they're paid for by the Iranians. And so part of the United States' objective in degrading the Iranian military so much and squeezing them economically is to make sure that they cannot fund and support all these other arms of their operations to destabilize the rest of the Middle East. And so far, as Secretary Rubio said, the Houthis have largely stayed out of this fight, which has been hugely helpful. And so for the Houthis to now be joining into this, they're clearly doing it at the direction of the Iranians. And they are an enemy of Saudi Arabia. And Saudi Arabia in the past has been the one who's worked with the United States to take out the Houthis along the Red Sea to make sure the Red Sea stays open. So this is an escalation. Again, though, I would put the blame on the part of the Iranians.
Of course.
And I'll get to...
And it's an escalation that could backfire in a big way, because what is this going to do? This is going to take Saudi Arabia, who's already sick of their ships getting attacked, and it's going to push them further away from Iran and further towards who? The and to Israel. At the exact same time, we're learning a big lesson here, aren't we? Because after appeasing Iran for decades and giving them deals and working with them and letting them play their games and lie to the world, what did they do? They built up a massive conventional military capability that we're now seeing still exists. But what's the president's next move? After all, he said if attacks on shipping keep happening, the United States will be forced to respond.
Going to respond by hitting a power plant.
That's right. And the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, where the Houthis seem to control right now, that's responsible for 10% of the world's oil. So we heard about the Strait of Hormuz, responsible for 20% of the world's oil. This is why you're seeing oil prices go up.
All right, so let's take a look at the power plants and places that we might be able to hit. Lucas, as you see these as targets, what do you think we might hit first?
Well, I don't know if we'll hit it first, but the Damavad plant supplies 40% of Tehran's electricity. The Bashir nuclear power plant, probably not likely a target. The Russians built this. They still supply Iran with low-enriched uranium.
Because, Lucas, we should say there's a risk to blowing up a nuclear plant.
There's no question. Yeah. Now, the South Pars gas field, this sits on the largest natural gas field in the world. The Israeli forces hit this on March 18th, in the beginning of the war.
Wow.
Iran responded by hitting the Qatari side of this natural gas field. In terms of targets...
But let me ask you, here, this is the Strait.
Yeah, this is the Strait of Hormuz right here.
If we want to send a message in the Strait where they're hitting ships in the Strait, wouldn't that be a place we go?
It would. The only question is what would be Iran's response? We've seen Iran hit back in Qatar's oil field, natural gas oil fields in the UAE. That's the big thing.
You mean they'll have a like response? If we hit a power plant,
no question. That's been this tit for tat the whole time. That's what's notable about the Israelis. They use disproportionate responses. Probably one of the reasons that Israel hasn't re-entered the war. Iran has not attacked Israel since early June.
And your assessment of how we're doing it now, do you think we're doing disproportionate, or do you think we could be doing?
Not doing disproportionate.
You know, President Trump has been saying for a while that he doesn't want to have to go down this road of disproportionate responses. But if Iran is going to threaten ships that are being run by people who have nothing to do with this conflict and are just trying to go to work and to feed their families, they are creating a humanitarian crisis. And the president says if they're going to create a humanitarian crisis and they're going to go after people who are innocent and have nothing to do with this, he has no choice but to go after the architecture that powers this regime and gives them the electricity and gives them the ability to move weapons around their country and plan attacks and carry them out. That cannot continue. They cannot be allowed to threaten the entire world, which is what they want to do. That's why they're trying to open up this new front in the Red Sea. They're trying to get the price of oil up. 20% of the oil Strait of Hormuz, another 10% over there in the Red Sea. They're trying to take on 30% of the world's oil, get that up so high that the world looks at this and says, Trump, what are you doing? That the American voters look at this and say, Trump, what are you doing? You're ruining the economy. You're ruining our lives. I was paying $3.50 for gas last week. Now I'm paying $5.50 for gas. But as you're about to see, they have no way to keep the oil price high, and it's going to keep coming down in spite of everything that they do. Look at this.
About the price of oil.
Yes.
And the price of gas, more to the point. Well over $4 a gallon again. That, I think, is a political problem for the president. Does this leach out into the rest of the economy, raising the inflation rate elsewhere? When's it going to come down?
If you listen to the woke channels on your TV set, guess what? Oh, the inflation is going to go up, and we're not going to drop interest rates. That was under the Biden administration. That it goes up, it stays up. This is a temporary problem, whether it's a 2-week problem, a 3-week problem, or a 4-week problem. That's what it's about. It's not a 3-month problem. And right now they are in Pakistan. The Iranian foreign ministers in Pakistan begging to have peace talks. Rubio has made a statement an hour ago saying until they're really serious, we're not going to have peace talks. So guess what? There might be an announcement over the weekend saying we're going to sit down again. And you know what happens? It went up $20 a barrel in the last 2-3 weeks. It'll go down $20 a barrel in the next 2-3 weeks.
Yeah, but will the price of gas go well below $4 a gallon?
Absolutely.
Some of us have been out there buying gas for less than $4 a gallon recently. The swings are insane. I thought I was saving money 2-3 weeks ago, and now this week I'm like, man, I should have bought extra gas a few weeks ago. But the price fluctuates. It's quick. It changes rapidly. But what about this idea that inflation and affordability affordability are all Trump's fault. What about that? Is that a real idea, or is that just some sort of scam by the party that created all of this nightmare and now wants to bring socialism into our country?
This is the total inflation since January of 2019.
This is Newsmax.
Nearly 30% increase since 2019. Your dollar from January of 2019 is worth 70 cents today.
That's crazy.
That's the pain. So let's break down where the bulk of that pain came from. You see this line right here? That's where Trump 45 left office and Biden came in. Carry that over to the next line. This is all Biden's presidency. And this is where Trump came back in. So this is a 22% rise.
That's crazy.
During Joe Biden for the cost to live. Now, this 2%, 2.7%
It's
number,
inconsequential.
that's what they're talking about. This represents the part of the graph for the number that came out today, which all things considered is pretty good, even though it outperformed the estimates of supposed to be 3.1%. And the left wants to make it Trump's terror to blame for this 22% inflation that happened before the tariffs.
Because the reason is affordability in America is the fault of what you see on the screen right here. It hasn't gotten anything to do with anything Trump has done. Trump is responsible for 2.7% inflation. Is inflation a problem? Yeah. Do both political parties need to care about affordability in order to win? Absolutely. But who caused the unaffordability crisis? Not the guy who's responsible for 2.7%. And the fascinating thing about this is they're saying that, oh, it's Trump's tariffs. It's Trump's forever war. No.
See, Trump has actually brought some prices back down to almost where they were before Biden.
Like
in some sectors like gas and things like that.
Yeah.
Here are some real world examples of everyday items
What up,
that you buy in the
what up,
grocery store.
man?
So these are the prices that were before Biden. So this is before Biden took office when it was Trump's first term. And here are the prices after Biden. So this is right when Biden was leaving office.
That's crazy.
This is what the price of these items cost here.
Yep.
So if you take a look at this, it's exactly as the video said. It's about a 20% or so increase in price. Some of them vary very wildly because of the shortages and things like that. But overall, you're looking at exactly what was being talked about. So all of this, and this expands much further than these items.
And this is the political party that wants to run on communism because they say, oh, you can't afford anything because the system is rigged. Well, who rigged the system? They rigged the system against the little guy by destroying the country's economy. And now they're saying, well, the only way to fix the country is to punish people and to take the things that somebody else is able to earn and that they work hard for and to redistribute that to bring down these high prices and to help people afford their rent and to help people afford gas. No, those are not solutions. And the crazy thing is that while Trump is out there in what is now a humanitarian operation, if Iran wants to attack ships in the Strait of Hormuz that are run by innocent people, now we've got a humanitarian crisis. And we've got the President of the United States going out there to take away a regime's ability to threaten 30% of the world's oil. Threats against 30% of the world's oil are unaffordable by definition. That's the whole reason you'd threaten 30% of the world's oil, not to make the price go down, but to make it go as high as possible.
It went up $20 a barrel in the last 2 or 3 weeks. It'll go down $20 a barrel in the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah, but will the price of gas go well below $4 a gallon?
Absolutely. The reaction time might be 2-3 weeks, 4 weeks, but there won't be a reaction time.
When do you think it's going to get, say, $3.50? When are we going to get there? When the price of oil drops to $65 a gallon, a barrel?
I'm the first one that predicted 2 months ago on Maria's show that it was going to be down to 65, and it went down to 67 2 weeks ago.
Wow. Yeah, now it's bounced right back up again.
Well, it goes up in 2 weeks, goes down in 2 weeks.
Right.
Okay.
But it's a temporary situation.
Okay.
And a temporary situation like this is not something that leads to endless unaffordability. That, as we just saw, is the fault of the party that is now running against unaffordability and is now out there saying that if we don't punish people who are successful, like the grocery store guru right here, if we don't go after him and take away his grocery stores and build a free grocery store to compete with him and take away his 2% profit that he makes selling vegetables to New Yorkers, that, oh, our country's going to fall apart, our country's going to be destroyed, and that's why you need to elect us, that's why you need to bring us in, because we understand you, we care about you. No, they don't. And by the way, these are the same people that would like to see these regimes stay in power. Regimes don't create affordability. Whether they're a communist regime in America taking over these sanctuary cities, whether it's a regime that wants to threaten the supply of a worldwide commodity because it gives them leverage and because they think it makes them powerful and makes them respected and helps them get their way on a geopolitical stage. No, this type of corruption, whether you're voting for it at home or whether it's threatening that one day it is going to rise up and defeat you abroad, I mean, none of this is good for the average working person. And when America votes in the midterm elections, boy, we have a big decision to make, don't we? Ted Cruz came out and he said something that was like, look, there's all these people celebrating that America's political enemies are crazy. He said, I'm not celebrating that. Look, I'm not celebrating that either. Everybody thought Mamdani was a joke until he was the mayor of New York City. And now he's the leader of the entire Democrat Party. What do you think about that? What do you think about the situation in the Middle East? I hope there is peace soon. I'll see you in the next video.
Subscribe.
Good to see you here today. Good morning, Gabe. We'll begin today with a few scheduling announcements. Later this afternoon, President Trump will welcome the Los Angeles Dodgers back to the White House to celebrate their second consecutive World Series championship. Tomorrow night, the president will attend the White House Correspondents Association Dinner Round 2, celebrating free speech and the First Amendment alongside all of you, members of the media. The president looks forward to finishing what he started before a despicable assassination attempt derailed the original event back in April, as we all know, and I encourage everyone watching tomorrow night to tune in for what promises to be a very entertaining and memorable evening. Looking ahead to next week, on Monday, President Trump will travel to Michigan to deliver remarks on the economy. On Tuesday afternoon, the president will deliver a tribute honoring the life and legacy of his dear friend, Senator Lindsey Graham, at the National Cathedral. And next Friday, the president will host the 13th cabinet meeting of this term at Camp David, which will be a lot of fun and something different for the cabinet to experience together. Turning now to the economy. A little more than a year after President Trump signed the Working Families Tax Cuts into law, this historic legislation continues to deliver on its promise, unleashing a genuine boom for American workers, families, and small businesses. The numbers speak for themselves. This was the biggest tax refund season in American history, with the average refund exceeding $3,400, an 11% increase over the last year. American families and workers claimed $82 billion in direct tax relief, and 97% of filers received a tax cut. More than 29 million workers claimed no tax on overtime. More than 35 million seniors claimed no tax on Social Security, and nearly 8 million workers claimed no tax on tips. Thanks to the other pro-growth provisions in the Working Families Tax Cuts, like making the 20% small business tax deduction permanent and delivering 100% expensing for new factories, equipment, and research, the Trump administration is setting up American manufacturers and workers to thrive like never before. Just this week, the National Association of Manufacturers, which is the largest manufacturing association in the country, released a detailed report showing exactly how these tax cuts are driving investment, job creation, innovation, and long-term growth in all 50 states. In fact, I'd like to take a moment to highlight just a few of the real American businesses that this law is helping. Pivot Manufacturing in Arizona made the largest equipment purchase in company history after the Trump tax cuts gave them the long-term certainty to invest with confidence. Winton Machine Company in Georgia is on pace for the best year in its history. Ketchy Inc. in North Carolina was able to purchase new machinery and expand its workforce by 25%. And Juergens in Ohio expanded its brand new facility to increase production, and they're also paying their workers even more thanks to the no tax on overtime provision. These are not just great statistics, these are American businesses with the confidence to grow, hire, and invest right here at home rather than offshoring their jobs. And a business opening or expanding in this country means more opportunity and higher wages for American workers. It means a chance for the American dream for young families, and it means restoring the belief that we can make and build things things right here at home. This is what President Trump promised, and it's exactly what he is delivering with the help of Republicans in Congress. Democrats throw around the word affordability a lot, but when they had the chance to vote for the largest middle-class tax cuts in history, they refused. If Democrats got their way, it would have meant the largest tax increase in history, $4 trillion. 90% of Americans would have seen their taxes go up, and it would have been a complete disaster for our economy. That's the Democrat solution to, quote, affordability. It is raising your taxes. So I hope the press will cover more of the massive success stories resulting from the working families tax cuts and point out that every single Democrat on Capitol Hill voted against every single common sense provision that put more money back into the pockets of the American people. Finally, on the energy front, after this briefing, President Trump will participate in a historic ratepayer protection pledge event at the EPA headquarters down the street. The president will expand the ratepayer protection pledge to governors, state legislatures, developers, and power providers to ensure that everyone involved in building and powering data centers pays their own way, instead of passing those costs on to hardworking families. The president will be joined by Energy Secretary Chris Wright, EPA Administrator Lee Zeldin, and several governors who have already signed on to this pledge, and it has already proven to be remarkably successful. Nearly 200 additional stakeholders have signed on since it was first announced, including utilities, data center developers, public power authorities, co-ops, and state governors. As a result, the pledge now covers 80% of all the so we have a busy day here, rest assured. I'll take some questions, and here in our new media seat, we have Cam from Town Hall. Cam, thank you for being here. On an opportunity for communities across this country, all while cementing America's dominance over China in the global AI race. The president is ensuring the American people are never left footing the bill so private companies can benefit. Instead, President Trump is leveraging the data center boom to deliver real, tangible benefits for working families and small businesses. So we have a busy day here, rest assured. I'll take some questions, and here in our new media seat, we have Cam from Town Hall. Cam, thank you for being here. Why don't you kick us off today?
Thank you. Two quick questions. One on Congress. First off, Speaker Mike Johnson passed a continuing resolution earlier this week. John Thune said he wants to work with Democrats to find a way to fund the government. What is the White House's stance on the best way to keep the government funded?
Well, the White House's stance is that the government needs to be funded. This president and Republicans on Capitol Hill from both chambers, as you just mentioned, the House and the Senate Republicans want to keep the government open. We want to work together to find ways to do that, and the White House will continue to have discussions with Senate leadership on the best path forward. I don't want to get ahead of those conversations, but the most important thing for the American people to know is that this president open, unlike the Democrats in this town who have been acting as obstructionists. We've seen time and time again, they have chosen to block this administration, to block Republicans in Congress from keeping our government open, which does not help anyone, and it especially hurts the American people who depend on our government remaining open so they can access the critical services that our government provides to so many Americans across the country. So these conversations are continuing, but I think I just made the president's position quite clear.
Thank you. And then on the Saudi Arabian nuclear deal, what steps is the U.S. taking to get Saudi Arabia to sign the Abraham Accords?
Sure. Well, the president himself has spoken on this many times. His True Social post this morning, and I will read it for those at home who missed it. The civil nuclear deal, there will be no enrichment of material, an important point being made between the Department of Energy and Saudi Arabia, which pertains only to non-military use, will be approved, but is totally subject to Saudi Arabia joining the very respected and successful Abraham Accords. The United States is not opposed to civil nuclear facilities, as we all know. Look, this is a condition that the president has spoken about many times with our Gulf and Arab allies. He wants to see these countries sign the Abraham Accord. It was one of the most historic accomplishments of his first term, and it continues to be a long-term goal of his to expand those accords to ultimately come to a place where the Middle East can be a peaceful and stable region region. And yes, this deal with Saudi Arabia, the energy deal, is contingent on this condition as far as the president is concerned. So we'll continue to talk with our Saudi counterparts to get the deal finalized and hopefully see them joining the Abraham Accords very soon. Thank you. Gabe.
Caroline, thank you. With regards to the Saudi nuclear deal, why was that condition not mentioned yesterday when the Energy Secretary announced it?
Well, look, the president is always the final deal maker, as you know, and this is something that he has mentioned on numerous occasions going back. I can provide you with those statements, and he has said if they don't join the Abraham Accords, the deal is off. So we'll continue to have those conversations with our Saudi counterparts moving forward.
So the deal is dead if Saudi Arabia doesn't join. And have you any indication that Saudi Arabia is even considering this?
Again, the president has spoken directly with the Saudis about this in numerous conversations in the past, and the administration will continue to engage in those conversations. Alexandra.
Be exempt from international inspections as part of this deal if it moves forward?
I don't want to comment on the specifics of the deal as we're still, again, as I just said, talking especially about this very important condition that the president raised this morning. Alexandra.
So good to see you.
You too.
So Treasury Secretary Bessent voiced concern this week on China potentially distilling or stealing AI technology from the United States, kind of manipulating it as their own. Anthropic said that the largest distilling attack happened last month. Do you think this will come up when the president meets with President Xi in September?
Well, I have had the honor of being part of some of the meetings and discussions between President Trump and President Xi, and I can tell you there is always a wide range of topics that come up. I would imagine this would be something that's of high importance to the president and of this administration to obviously ensure that America remains dominant in the AI race, and we're obviously tracking the particular situation that you mentioned.
I have one more if you don't mind. This week we've seen some major players in Democrat politics voicing or alerting really on how much influence socialism, communism has had now on kind of mainstream Democrat politics. Is there any chance that the president would be interested or is considering working with left of center Democrats to push back on this?
Well, unfortunately, we don't seem to have too many of those left in the Democrat Party. We have literal self-proclaimed communists who are winning elections and who are claiming to be the new leadership of the Democrat Party. I think the vast majority of Americans understand the dangers of communism. Just look at countries all over this world. As an example, Cuba right now is a country that is about to be a failed state because of the communist policies of the past several decades. Communism should never be allowed to lead this country, and the president obviously is strictly opposed to it and all the dangers that it reaps. We've seen it happen across the world. Meredith.
Just to continue on the Saudi nuclear deal, do the Saudis agree with this interpretation since it wasn't part of the initial agreement? And has the president talked to MBS since this new condition was announced?
As you know, the president just put out this statement a few hours ago. I don't believe he's had a call with MBS in the hours since. However, this is something that he has raised in previous conversations and has also said many times in the past. John, in the back, go ahead.
Thanks a lot, Caroline. In regards to this deal, in the past, the Saudi government has said they will not consider entering into the Abraham Accords unless and until there's a Palestinian state. What makes you think that they're going to change their minds on their position regarding that?
Again, I won't get ahead of the president's conversations, but this is something that he feels very strongly about and has spoken about it in the past and will continue to uphold.
Can I ask you one other question?
Sure.
Just playing devil's advocate, why does Saudi Arabia get a civilian nuclear deal, but Iran doesn't get a civilian nuclear deal?
Well, again, this agreement is still being worked out. It will eventually, hopefully, be finalized with the condition that the president spoke about this morning. But this agreement in particular, as it's been discussed thus far, does give priority access for American companies in the Saudi nuclear energy program, which will ultimately benefit American industry workers and supply chains. So the deal that has been discussed thus far and will continue to be discussed absolutely puts America first, and that's obviously very important to this president. Ed.
Yeah, thanks, Caroline. So Friday, the Section 122, the 10% global tariff goes away. Is the president going to ask Congress for an extension, or what's next?
Well, I know the USTR, our great Jameson Greer, trade representative, will be having an announcement on that very soon, later today. I don't want to get ahead of him, so I would just tell you to stay tuned for more details.
Okay, and then one more on the president's going to have some big utility companies at this event later on today. We're now a year and a half, so to speak, into his pro-energy policies. Is he going to pressure those executives to lower energy prices, not just maintain the prices?
Well, look, as I mentioned earlier, the Ratepayer Protection Pledge is a novel idea drawn up by this president, his team, to ensure that data centers in communities, where those communities want data centers, that these big CEOs and energy companies are picking up the tab for the energy costs in these communities, so the American taxpayer not being fronted with those bills. And the pledge today is being expanded to acknowledge all elements involved in building and operating data center, the governors who appoint the state regulators, who set the power prices, the utilities and the co-ops that sell the power, and in addition to the tech companies that have already signed the pledge. So you'll continue to hear more about that from the president in a few hours at 2:30 when he goes over to the EPA. Sophia.
Have you spoken to the president about what he wants to do about Chinese AI models if they are found to have stolen American IP? Does he want to sanction them? Or what actions can be taken without undermining broader U.S.-China trade talks or cutting off American startups that are increasingly reliant on them?
Sure. Well, I won't get ahead of the president on any potential actions, but obviously these conversations are taking place, and again, they're of the utmost importance, not just for our national security, but to ensure America remains dominant in this space. Stephen.
Thank you, Caroline. Two questions. Has President Trump spoken with FIFA President Gianni Infantino about his interest in nominating him for UN Secretary General? And can you explain his interest there? And secondly, just a minor point of clarification on the Saudi nuclear deal. Did Prime Minister Netanyahu request this provision?
Not to my knowledge, no. Again, as I told you, this was an idea the president has long had. It was the president and his team in the first term that began and signed the Abraham Accords with several countries in the region, between those countries and Israel. And the president obviously wants to expand on that historic accomplishment from his first term. To your first question about Gianni Infantino, I don't know if he and the president have discussed that. I haven't been present for all their conversations. I know they speak quite frequently, and the president has a lot of respect for Gianni and what he has done with FIFA. As we all just saw, the World Cup was a tremendous success here at home. It not only was hugely beneficial to our businesses and our local economies across the country, but I think it showed that America is the greatest country on earth, and the president is grateful to Gianni for all of the efforts that he had to make that dream a reality here in the United States. Danny.
Thanks, Caroline. Is President Trump or the administration, do they have any plans to intervene in the extradition process for the Tate brothers?
No, we've already answered that question. Elizabeth.
Thank you, Caroline. Secretary Mullen said that election officials that knowingly allowed non-citizens to vote could be prosecuted and fined. Is this option being considered in New Jersey after the governor revealed that thousands of non-citizens were registered to vote there?
Well, for any prosecutions, obviously, I would always defer you to the Department of Justice. But what I will say on New Jersey and this governor, the fact that she just all of a sudden decided to put out a press release saying President Trump and Republicans have been right about non-citizens on our voting rolls is not a coincidence. I think this governor is saying this because she realizes this administration is serious about getting to the bottom of illegal aliens voting and being on our voter rolls in our country. The Secretary of Homeland Security, as you know, sent a letter to several states, including New Jersey, requesting that non-citizens that are on their voter rolls need to be reported to DHS and need to be removed from those voter rolls. So that's why all of a sudden she is speaking truth about the fact that this does take place in states across the country. It is completely unacceptable to have non-citizens on American voter rolls voting in U.S. elections. And she says it's 6,600. We suspect it's a heck of a lot more, not just in New Jersey, but in states across the country. The president is hell-bent on getting to the bottom of this, and it's also why we need to pass the Save America Act to ensure that only U.S. citizens are voting in U.S. elections. And I understand the House had a great accomplishment yesterday with passing the budget resolution, which has as much of the Save America Act as possible, and we encourage the Senate to move forward with passing that resolution into law so the president can sign it into law by the August recess. It's of the utmost importance to this president, but also to the American people who support this bill overwhelmingly. Mary in the back.
Thank you, Caroline. Two questions. One on Sophia Cunningham and then on self-driving cars.
Sure.
Sophia Cunningham in the WNBA has been attacked as a MAGA Barbie for saying it's common sense for men to not be in women's sports and locker rooms.
Subscribe. If you haven't already, subscribe. 68 people in the chat. Subscribe to the channel. Name is Deontay. Let's get it.
President following this story, and has he reached out to her?
I don't believe he has reached out to her. I know he is following the story. As you know, this is something the president feels strongly about as well, and the American people do too. That men should not
2,235 subscribers. Let's get it. MAGA, baby.
Be playing in women's sports. It's completely ludicrous that anyone could support that. It's even more ludicrous that you do have Sophia Cunningham, a female athlete herself, very accomplished in her own right, coming forth.
VP candidate, I will tell you. He is doing things at levels, and by the way, everything perfectly. He's totally into the environment, but he's getting things done in 2, 3, 4 weeks that used to take years and years. And people are getting their approvals, and they're building buildings. We're building more buildings now, plants, and all sorts of manufacturing capability that.
Name is Deontay. Everybody is welcome. Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe. Common Sense channel. Only 2 genders, baby.
We've never done anywhere near it many, many times. And companies are pouring in. Toyota, the other day, as you know, announced that they're moving into our country from Mexico. They're going to be, I think, closing up a lot of their operation, maybe all of it in Mexico. They're moving to this country. We have we have more car plants being built now in the United States than at any time in history. And, you know, we went years before me. We went many years with no car plant being built. I mean, they wouldn't even think about building in this country. Now, with same thing with chips. We'll have about 50% by the time this term is over. We're going to have probably 50% of the chip market. A year ago, when we began, we had no chip market. We had virtually none other than Intel. We had Intel. And we made a purchase of 10% of Intel. We got it for the right price. And we made approximately $72 billion on that deal. So it was good. Do I get credit for that one? No. I get no credit. None. So we did that, and we made a lot of great deals, I'll tell you. We keep it going, too. But Intel's been fantastic, one of the hottest companies anywhere in the country. And when we met them, they were really having very big difficulty. We worked with them. But the stock price has gone up many times. I think it's maybe the hottest or one of the hottest anywhere in the world. So it was an honor to do it. I love looking good. But we made a lot of money. We made, I guess, over $72 billion on that profit. They've also agreed to invest heavily in local communities where data centers are built, supporting job training and local services. They're really spending a tremendous amount of money. In other words, for the governors in the room, you have great governors in this room, and these companies are spending tremendous amounts of money on the communities, the local communities. So I think it's important that we tell the local communities that, because other nations are trying to get us to slow down, and they're spending a lot of money on propaganda, on press, PR, trying to convince everybody that this isn't a positive thing. And if we don't do this, we're going to be left behind. And even communities compared to other communities. You have some communities that really want this. This isn't all negative stuff. You have communities that really want the data centers. And frankly, those are the smart communities, because it means tremendous numbers of jobs, very little actual disruption. And the ones that don't want it, you know, the happiest people in the world are foreign countries, number one, and number two, other communities within our country, because they're begging for them to be there. And some of them are great communities, very, very forward-looking communities, very smart communities. Since I introduced this plan just a few months ago, more than 220 utilities, tech companies, state governments, and other partners have signed our ratepayer protection pledge. Electricity rates for 80% of the power distributed in America are now being kept in check by the plan. We have kept rates down, way down. You know, we inherited the worst inflation in the history of America from the Biden administration. And as you know, last week it was announced that inflation is way down. It's down more than it's been in over 6 years, and other things are happening that are so fantastic. And when all these buildings, plants, factories that we're talking about start opening up, all I know is I'd like to be the next president, because I'm going to make somebody look very good. They're going to sit there and all this stuff is going to be opening and they're going to be saying what a genius they are. That happened with Biden. I got cuts in medicine prices that statutorily took 2 or 3 years. And I got these tremendous cuts, and then they sat there and said, oh yeah, they didn't even know where they came from. But I got them. And
Right, voted for Trump 3 times. You know what I'm saying? MAGA for life, baby. Period. Welcome to the chat. 2024. Welcome. You say you hate him. Why do you hate the man? You can dislike him, but you gotta hate him. Jesus Christ. Hate Satan. Don't hate the president. That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? I ain't more Biden to be the president, but I ain't hate him. You know what I'm saying? I wish he wasn't the president, but as far as hating him, man, oh, that's not cool.
this is going to be a much bigger example. You have all these plants that are going to be opening up over the next 2 years, sooner, but 2 years. And somebody's going to look very, very smart. And I hope you remember me, because what we've done is something that nobody thought was possible. For example, Southern companies, Georgia.
If you hate the man, pray for him. Nobody want to pray for the man? You know what I'm saying? Pray for the world leaders. That's in the Bible. Pray for your world leaders. That's okay. Pray for your enemies. They can do better.
Power has frozen base rates for households until 2029. Is anybody here from Georgia Power? A certain governor is here. That's a great job. I've heard about it. Congratulations to both, and it's fantastic. And Georgia, the revenue from Google's data center construction is allowing them to eliminate property taxes entirely. And that's what you call using it to your advantage. The numbers are so incredible. Nobody.
Okay, here we go with the Epstein. So you cool? So you should about the Epstein list, but you cool with the borders being open? You cool with the borders being open, allowing, you know what I'm saying, pedophiles to come to America, which have unalived our women and raped our women and children. Y'all cool with the borders? Y'all cool with that? But you worry about the damn Epstein files. Fuck the Epstein files. Prayers for the victim. Stop coming to these conservative chats about this goddamn Epstein files. If you want to talk about the Epstein files, get your own YouTube channel, Instagram, and y'all do that shit. Stop coming to my channel, other people's channel about this damn Epstein files. You guys don't care about them files. You just want to do this as a troll. You know what I'm saying? I get it. You got to waste the time, but it's cool. You in the chat, welcome. But you guys, you know what I'm saying, want the borders to be open for the pedophiles. That's insane, but you talking about the Epstein files. What about Lake and Raleigh? You know what I'm saying? Y'all want to bring that up.
Nobody's ever seen. You know, all my life, the biggest building in the whole world was the Pentagon. And you can fit 25 Pentagons into some of these buildings, 25. And if you happen to be a community, and there's very little disruption. They're just large. They go on for miles. And frankly, if you like certain types of things, they're incredible to look at, to see that we could do something like this. But they also throw off tremendous amounts of money for the community. And when you look at Georgia and you look at the revenue, think of that, revenue from Google's data center construction, allowing them to eliminate all property taxes. Did you know that, Brian? That's not bad, right? So thank you very much. Great job. That's a great job. And you probably had some negative stuff, a little heat. Oh, we don't want a data center. Usually those are the people that actually want them. And they'd like you not to build them. Because you know what? If it doesn't go to you, and if it doesn't go to Georgia, as an example, it's going to go someplace else. And those people are very happy to get them, too, the smart people. American Electric Power now projects that their customers will enjoy as much as $16 billion in cost offsets for consumers thanks to their data center contracts. $16 billion. So think of that. That's cost offsets. In Iowa, Alliant Energy data center deals. Where are you, Alliant? Alliant, where are you? Are you here? Thank you. data center deals are allowing them to freeze electric rates for consumers for at least 5 years. So your rates are going to stay the same or lower. In Louisiana, there's a guy, looks like he's from Louisiana to me. Public school teachers in so think of that, Richland Parish are getting as much as $50,000 in bonuses this year thanks to a $27 billion project by Meta that will also save local residents $2.6 billion on their electricity bills. Their electricity is going down in less.
That's crazy. I see somebody in the chat talking about the Doge checks and tariff checks. You guys ain't voted for Trump, so why you ever about the doggone checks and Doge checks? Me as MAGA, nobody has mentioned about the Doge checks and all that stuff. Only you left wings and Karens are and Democrats. Y'all were about the real stuff. That's crazy. You don't like Trump, but you want this money with it. You want Trump's money, but you don't want him. You don't like him. You didn't vote for him, but you want Trump to give you the money. That's crazy.
That's big stuff, Mr. Governor, right? You didn't have any doubt about it. Here's a governor doing a great job. We have some really great governors in this room.
We the people.
With the ratepayer protection pledge,
that's the whole point. The government works for us, and Trump is giving America back to us. But you guys want to keep on getting to the doggone Democrats. Now they so fucking left. They want to be socialists because they want free shit. That's the problem. Ain't nothing free, man. Who's gonna pay for it? Especially all the billionaires leaving. Nobody don't think about long term. They think about short term. Right now. Thinking about long term, down the line. That's why I picked Trump. That's why I voted for Trump. He's a long time thinking person. Not no quick fix right now. Put a band-aid on it. Okay, it's cool. No, don't do all that. That's not how that works. Really, Timothy, we good over here, man. And don't bring up the doggone war crash. Oh, well, remember he said no new wars. Bro, this man been talking about the war since, you know what I'm saying, since the 90s. About Iran can't have no nuclear weapons. Biden and Obama. Every goddamn president there was in the last 4 presidents talking about getting rid of Iran, their weapons. So this ain't nothing new.
Creating a fair deal for everybody. This is how we'll grow our economy, lower the cost of living, protect American consumers, and lead the world in AI and high tech, all at the same time. We want to lead the world. And it is said, if you come in second, you're going to be second overall.
I don't know how many people lost money on the meme. I guess you must lost some money then. Because not one person I know is MAGA complain about losing money, anything like that. Why you guys concerned about MAGA losing money? That's funny.
Because there's never been anything big like this. There's never been like in Georgia. There's no other thing you can do to create numbers like you've created, Brian. Both of you. There's no other thing. You can do 100 different deals. 100. It is nothing close to what you've been able to do. And why? They put a big, gorgeous new plant in a certain location. Big deal. It's so incredibly positive. Unfortunately, there are some who would like to lead us down the opposite path. And I call them the radical left communists. They call them socialists, but these people are communists, actually more. I think it's a much more accurate term. Want to shut down all new development, kill our most successful industries, destroy hundreds of thousands of jobs, and surrender the AI race to China. And China, look, I'm not blaming them. I have a lot of respect for them. I have a lot of respect for President Xi, but they represent China. We represent the United States of America. And they lobby against these things, and they spend money on it, and they want communities to reject them as much as possible because they'd like to be leading the race. But we're leading the race, and unless we're very foolish and frankly very stupid, we'll continue to lead the race. We have a nice lead. A lot of people didn't expect that was possible. Perhaps even worse, the radical left's plans would not lower your electricity bills, but they would actually increase them very substantially because you wouldn't have all of this money pouring in. You'd have American energy would be far more expensive, and regulating oil, natural gas, and clean, beautiful coal. It would be the end of all of it. It'd be the end of all of it. It'll be the end of, frankly, it'll be the end of great success for our country because we've never had anything like what's happening right now. I call them the Democrats because their policies are so bad. Look, think of it. No men. We want no men in women's sports. Transgender, they want transgender for everybody. I call it transgender mutilization of your children for everybody. Open borders where the world can pour in, where prisons from all over the world are released into our country, and we've done a hell of a job in getting them out. Murderers, 11,888 murderers let into our country under the previous administration. We've gotten a lot of them out. We're getting the rest of them out fast. But the Democrats in Congress want less energy, not more. And if given the chance, they'd send your prices soaring and inflation skyrocketing, which is exactly what would happen if you had somebody else sitting in the position that I am right now. And just like we did with the Green New scam, where we were scammed, the whole country was, I wasn't scammed, I got it right from the beginning. I got it from the first minute when I heard this crap, you know? They were saying wind was so wonderful, except you couldn't watch your television. They wanted to watch the debate. Donald Trump against Sleepy Joe Biden. Nobody could watch it because the wind wasn't blowing. Remember that? Darling would like to watch the debate tonight. I'm sorry, the wind isn't blowing. Now, that's one of the great scams of all time. But, you know, if you dislike another country, let them keep building windmills. They are going down. People are finally figuring it out. But we're not going to let it happen to this country. We're going to use the kind of things that work. And they're working better than anybody ever thought possible. So experts have observed that the amount of energy a society produces is the single greatest indicator of its advancement as a civilization, its success as a country. Think of it when you think the amount of energy produced, Lee. So when you give those fast approvals, that's a positive thing. I want you to feel good. Yet instead of offering a positive version and vision for carrying American civilization to new heights, the radical left only wants to limit our energy consumption and rein in our American dreams. We have the American dream. Until we came along, we had a great first term. We had the greatest economy in the history of our country, and this economy will blow it away. We're doing very well against the Islamic Republic of Iran. We're doing extremely well. They would like to do something, but I say they're not ready yet. They need more of the same. They're not ready yet. They got some evil intentions. We cannot let them have a nuclear weapon. If we did all this that I'm talking about your data centers, isn't that important? When they start blowing away communities one by one, we cannot let them ever even think about having a nuclear weapon, and that's exactly what's happening. They'll never have a nuclear weapon under the...
One time, brother, Mr. President.
By the way, this should have been done by they've been saying 47 years now for about 3 years, but this should have been done for 50 years by other American presidents or other countries. Didn't have to be us, but it seems to, if we don't do it, nobody else is. But I will, and nobody else has the capability to do it either. We built in my first...
You've been enslaved for so long as you don't even know you were slave. That don't sound right, man. Put the phone down, man. Go read a book, bro. Go read a book, man.
Term the greatest military anywhere in the world. And we're using it a little more than I thought, but that's all right. We had Venezuela that Chris is doing.
You know we are MAGA. We vote conservative, Republican. You know what I'm saying? We not on the Democrat plantation. And you tell us to stay on the plantation or get on the plantation. We want to be on that plantation. Democrat Party. Party of slavery. The party of everything against American. Black slaves, they wanted freedom. The Democrat Party went against it. The blacks wanted to vote. The Democrats went against it. Do y'all research. Stop jumping on these people's chats and our chats with this dumbass bullshit, man. We're not going to be part of the Democratic Party. No longer. No more. That party is corrupt. That party is lies. They want to stay in power. They want to stay in control. They want to keep us poor. Period. You guys want to stay poor. That's on you guys. Slavery is a choice. Kanye West ain't lying. We are not lying. People are stuck. They want to be slaves. They want daddy government to keep telling them what to do. They want daddy government to keep on giving them the government cheese. They want the goddamn cheese. That's the problem. Black families and some white families are still having a generational curse of staying on welfare in Section 8 and not getting off their ass and getting this money on their own. They stuck. None of these people today have experienced anything of slavery or anything of Jim Crow. None of us have. If you're not 100 years old or a little bit younger than that, we have never experienced none of those things. But you guys keep on talking about you the victim. Don't forget about the past. Yeah, don't forget about the past. We get that. The past was bogus as hell. But America is much greater than it was then. And we all know that. Stop letting these teachers send you guys off in these high schools and colleges. Stop getting sent off. Stop being babies. Grow up. Do research. Damn. Nobody want to do no research no more. Here's something that sounds good, feels good, and that's it and go with it. Do your research. Or just be patient. Don't say nothing. Just wait. Wait for the facts. Just wait. Be patient. The facts will be there for you.
Doing a fantastic job, and we've paid for the cost of that war many times over. We're taking millions and millions of barrels of oil, and it's going to Houston and Louisiana. You know that. You see those ships lined up. And again, we've paid for that many, many times over, and we have a great relationship with Venezuela. And the people are happy in Venezuela right now. They can't believe what's happened. We have the biggest companies, the biggest oil companies in the world going in and doing business like nobody ever thought possible. And we're taking some, we should, and they're taking some. And, you know, it's very interesting that they're making more money. Chris was showing me some numbers. They're making more money, Venezuela, now than they've ever made before. And
right, what 1932 got to do anything? Wow, my grandma was born in 1928. She's 100 years old. She can't do nothing. So meaning that even back then they can't do nothing. That shit's played out, man. It's weak. Yes, it happened in the past, but it hasn't happened now. And after that incident happened, years later, nothing has happened after the incident. 1932. Are you serious? Wow. You never lived in 1932. So why even bring it up?
And we're making a lot too. And I think we're entitled to that. So it was really something. We took that, it was a one-day war. It took one day, people said, oh, we're going to be tied up there forever. And here, you know, we were in Vietnam for 20 years. Lost thousands and hundreds of thousands of lives, but thousands and thousands of lives. We were in Afghanistan for years. We were in all these wars that you heard about for years and years. We were, you know, I called them never-ending wars, but we're in for 4 months. And I had a very sad day yesterday. I went to Dover, 4 great American patriots killed. That's 18 in 2 wars, and 1 is too many, but it's 18, whereas in Vietnam we lost 200,000, we lost thousands and thousands, and Afghanistan, we lost thousands in every war. The Korean War, thousands, and these wars all lasted for years. And we want to get it over with, and we want to do it right. But we have to do what we came to do, and that's we can't let these people, very violent people, we can't let them have what they want, which is nuclear weapons.
What's going on, Timothy, in Venezuela?
From all of this success came from innovation and ambition and drive. In this country, we build the future fearlessly and confidently so that America always will be strong, prosperous, and dominant. And the other thing we're going to add to that, we want to be free, and we're going to continue to be free as long as we're smart. And we can't be hoodwinked. We can't be taken advantage of by people that say you're going to have a free home. You're going to get free rent. Everything's going to be free. What they don't say is a year later, everything is going to end up in squalor, destruction, and death. And also death for our country. So we have to stop the threat of the communist rhetoric that you're hearing right now, because these people, they don't act. I'm very happy a poll came out. It said they're highly educated, but doing very poorly.
Okay.
In other words, they're losers. They went to school, they got a good education, now they don't know what they're doing, so what they do is they complain about people like yourselves that have done so well. But
If you haven't already, subscribe. 2,237 subscribers, you guys. Appreciate it. We are growing. Subscribe. If you haven't already.
we can't let the communist ideology we don't want to even think about it for this country. It would be terrible. So we're joined today by some of the people helping to do all of the things that I just talked about, putting the Ratepayer Protection Pledge into action. And here with us are Secretary of Energy Chris Wright, who's an outstanding person. Doug Burgum told me about Chris. I didn't know Chris. I wanted Doug to head up energy, and Doug said, no, there's one man that's better. Who? Chris Wright. I said, who the hell is that? Turned out to be this guy right over here. And he's turned out to be incredible, really incredible. He's running Venezuela. He's running a lot of, more than anybody has ever run before, I think we can say, Chris, right? He's doing a great job, so we appreciate it. Thank you. A friend of mine, the governor of Louisiana, Jeff Landry, popular guy.
Thank you. 2,238. I almost said 2,240. Appreciate you guys.
Really smart, street smart, and book smart, which is a rare combination, by the way. We have the governor of Nebraska, Jim Pillen, who's done a fantastic job. He's where's Jim? Who's around here someplace? Where are you? Oh, hello, Jim. You're looking good. You don't change much? You don't change much. How's Nebraska doing? Good? Do they still like Trump in Nebraska? I think so. We had a very good night 2 nights ago in a place called Arizona. We're 14 out of 14, and we're doing that kind of numbers in Nebraska. I think we're doing those numbers everywhere, and it's all based on common sense. You know, we're conservative, we're this, we're that, whatever you want. The most important thing is we're people.
Yeah, you see it, right? They jump on our chats, we saying the most stupidest shit. They getting paid to protest, and they get paid to be on YouTube chats, saying the most insane shit.
Common sense. We want to have strong borders. We want to have good education. We want to have low taxes. We want to have a great military. We're people of common sense, and if you do that, you'll be.
Right, they calling Trump a king. We voted for him. Like, are you guys insane? Like, we never called Trump a king. Never called Trump our daddy. If anything, we called Trump Uncle Trump. You know what I'm saying? Nobody called Trump Daddy Trump. Either Uncle Trump or Grandpa Trump. Some people do. But you lefties, you guys want to call him king, a dictator. You know, all these other stupid ass names. Insane.
Very successful at politics. Governor of Idaho, Brad Little. Thank you very much, Brad. Governor of Georgia, Brian Kemp. Thank you, Brian. Great honor. Entergy CEO, Drew Marsh. Drew, thank you very much, Drew. Thank you, Drew. Great job you're doing. Southern Company CEO, Chris Womack. Chris, hi, there he is again. Chris, I didn't know that was your name. I just saw you. I said, that's a smart guy because you did that big job making people in Georgia rich, right? That's Meta President Tina Powell, who's been my friend. She was with me for 4 years in the White House. And I called up Mark. I said, you hired the right person. You got the right person. So great, Tina. We're proud of you. Columbia County Commission Chairman Doug Duncan. Doug, thank you, Doug. Congratulations. Job well done. And Sheldon Jones of Louisiana's Richland Parish School District. And thank you very much. Good job. You know him, don't you? Huh? Thank you. I heard you're doing fantastically well. And again, Lee Zeldin, who's been so outstanding. So I just want to leave you by saying that it's an honor to be here. I'm going over now to talk about various and sundry subjects. One is the Iran war, where, again, we're doing very well, very, very well. I would say better than anybody expected could be done. We've knocked out their Navy, their Air Force, all of their radar, most of their capability in terms of manufacturing. Their drones are down 84%. Their missiles are down 91%. And I had a newspaper say, they're in stronger position today than they were 4 months ago. No, that's not the truth. That's not right. I can't believe they're even allowed to say it. New York Times said, they're in stronger position today. They have no military. They have no Navy. They had 159 ships. Everyone's at the bottom of the sea.
Damn.
They had 212 airplanes. Everyone is gone.
Same thing battleship.
They have no radar. They have no anti-aircraft. They have no nothing. Other than they're mean, and they're smart, and they still have some capability. But 4 months ago, trust me, they were much, much stronger. Okay, I want to give you the
Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Brad. Appreciate that, man. $20 super chat. Thanks, Brad. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Thanks, Brad. Ran 100 on that, man. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Like, share, and subscribe. Thank you. Let's continue.
fake news. But we're going to do that, and we're going to then have the Dodgers, the World Championship Dodgers, are going to be over at the White House. They're going to be waiting, and I'll meet a man who's just about the best pitcher in baseball, and just about the best hitter in baseball, and just about the best fielder in the outfield in baseball. And needless to say, I guess he had a game where he pitched a almost perfect game, and he had 2 or 3 home runs in that game, and they said it was probably, I said, you know, never seen that. Only Babe Ruth. Babe Ruth was a great pitcher, and he was a great hitter. But even the Babe didn't throw a one-hitter and hit 3 home runs, which would make it, I would imagine, about the greatest game ever played. So we're going to meet him and all of the people of the Dodgers. They won the World Championship, and we see the champions, the Super Bowl champions, and the baseball, basketball, all of them. They like to come over to the White House. We're going to have a little thing in a few minutes. But I want to just thank everybody, and we're really talking about the ratepayer protection plan. To me is very important, because you have to convince your community how great these things. You can't fight it. You have to go with it, and you're going to have all that protection. And we're giving you automatic protection, but you're going to make a tremendous amount of money. You're going to reduce taxes, and you're going to have something that if you don't have it, everybody else wants it. So these are the smartest people. Most of you in this room, we have a couple probably on the other side of things.
Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. And here's the meme of the day, brought to you by 5mind.com. Well, here we are, the much anticipated process here of reconciliation 3.0 is among us, as I described in the last video covering the SAVE Act.
Again, Brad, thanks for the super chat, man. I really appreciate it. Thank you, guys. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Hit the all button. Thank you. We got 2,238 subscribers. Let's get 2,240. Why not? Thank you.
This right here is the final chance, is the last option, the final window of opportunity to pass this bill. Well, that is, unless Democrats end up severely underperforming in the 2026 election. But once again, House Republicans deliver the goods. We just got news that Reconciliation 3.0 has officially passed the House. It's now heading to the Senate, and look, as excited as I was the other day, as bullish as I was at the possibility that this thing could actually get the 50 votes it needs, just needing J.D. Vance for the final signature. Well, unfortunately, it's not looking so good, as Senate Majority Leader John Thune just can't get his act together and seemingly can't get the 50 votes together. To give credit where credit is due, Speaker Mike Johnson is absolutely fulfilling his duty, and he's giving a softball lob to Senator John Thune, who just refuses to frickin' swing. The failure that is the Senate GOP continues to stack up here. Let me show you guys what's going on. We've got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so the bill just passed.
Are 216, the nays are 214. The concurrent resolution is adopted.
A narrow 216 to 214 victory in the House. This, by the way, is a combined spending bill, a reconciliation package.
A few decades ago, Republicans and Democrats in Congress are arguing over marginal tax rates and shades of regulation. Now we are quite literally in a contest to determine whether we're going to maintain our status as the world's great superpower, the greatest nation in the history of the world, as a constitutional republic, or we're going to tear that down to the foundation like the communist Democrats want to do and go down this dark road of Marxism. Not on our watch. We're not going to do that. And I am very confident. In fact, I'm very enthusiastic about the upcoming midterm election, because I believe that people are beginning to see this. And it is going to motivate voter turnout for true Americans who love their country and want to keep it. We're in the process of making it better every single day. And you're going to see that on display this week on the floor. On reconciliation this week, of course, we're going to move the ball forward. On Reconciliation 3.0, as we pass our budget resolution, that's what we'll do, send it to the Senate. As a reminder, this legislative vehicle is our best shot at accomplishing two key objectives of the people of this country. These are very popular and important and necessary objectives. Number one, secure American elections by passing the Save America Act into law. As much of that as possible. That's the objective. Number two, protect and strengthen our homeland. How do we do that? We'll be providing supplemental funding in line with the administration's request to support our national defense and our farmers. Why is this necessary? Because Democrats have yet again refused to work with Republicans on basic election integrity and strengthening our nation's defense. As always, Republicans support our troops, our farmers, and election integrity, and we will demonstrate that again this week.
They've now embedded the SAVE Act into the spending bill, with the justification being that the SAVE Act is in fact relevant to government spending. How can you properly appropriate funds if you can't even verify citizenship to begin with? The rationale, of course, makes sense. They're following the logic that we covered a couple days ago. It's actually happening. Now being delivered on a silver platter to the frickin' Senate. All they need is 50 votes, but it appears they just can't get it through. It's an absolute disgrace considering Republicans hold 53 seats in the Senate. That's a pretty significant majority, I'd say. And yet for some reason, Mitch McConnell doesn't want to sign on to the bill. That I find completely mind-boggling and frankly a shockingly disappointing way to end your career. It's very obvious considering his deteriorating health that he won't be able to serve in the Senate for much longer. And really, this is the way he wants to go out? Again, the opportunity of a lifetime to do what is most important. He's partnering up with Susan Collins, refusing to vote on the reconciliation bill, not because they disagree with the bill, but because they don't want to use reconciliation for a third time. So principled, I'd argue the principle of securing American elections, delivering basic ID and citizenship requirements to vote in American elections, probably the most principled thing that you can do, but of course they're failing to deliver. Then you've got Lisa Murkowski making a ridiculous claim about Alaskan voters being disenfranchised through this bill. It's utter nonsense, and as she's claiming that she's representing the interest of the Alaskan voter, in reality she's doing the exact opposite and betraying the people who put her in power. We also have John Thune, who still hasn't committed to voting yes on reconciliation. Very odd considering he keeps claiming that he's doing everything in his power to pass the Save America Act, yet he continues to do nothing. And what he should be doing is lobbying to get Mitch McConnell and Susan Collins on board, yet he won't. And then of course we have Tom Tillis, who, I mean, this is just fascinating. And for me, you can't explain what Tom Tillis is doing other than possible Trump derangement syndrome, but I'd say what's more likely is just corruption. He keeps making these arguments that there's simply just no time. There's no time to enact the SAVE Act ahead of the next election, and therefore he won't vote for it. Even if that's the case, you should still vote for it anyways, because I don't know, maybe the next election after that, maybe basic citizenship requirements to participate in American democracy is something that has long-standing impact. Even if he's right, you couldn't possibly implement it for the 2026 midterms. And so basically there's 5 Republican standouts right now, and in order for this thing to pass, 2 would have to get on board, and that's where you start to realize that John Thune is really full of shit, because he should vote yes, and so should Mitch McConnell. Then you have 3 standouts: Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins, and Tom Tillis. Even if they vote no, you still got 50 votes, and then J.D. Vance just passes the damn thing and simply overrule the parliamentarian, and boom, the SAVE Act is passed. There is a clear possible path forward, and you know what? There should be, some sort of leverage play to get the votes here. I mean, Speaker Johnson gets the votes in the House, but for some reason the Senate under John Thune cannot get its act together. There should be a way to even get Tom Tillis to vote yes on this thing. Susan Collins, absolutely another person, by the way, in a similar position to Mitch McConnell, not because of her deteriorating health, but because, well, she's behind in the polls, not necessarily indicative of the final result, considering the general polling misses that you would expect in the main Senate races. There might not be a miss this season. Susan Collins might actually lose her seat, and imagine having the opportunity to pass the SAVE Act here, probably the most consequential bill in the last 2 decades, easily, and she's going to potentially go out here being the single driving force behind making sure it doesn't pass. It's absolutely...
Like, share, and subscribe, everybody. Subscribe. I'm going to say 2,240.
Disgrace. disgraceful. And once again goes to show that the whole rhino phenomenon, well, it's got some merit behind it. It's grounded in some legitimate grievances and frustration. An absolute Senate clown show. This is a golden opportunity to ensure election integrity, not through benefit of the doubt or hope or trust, but to guarantee that the process is secured. And the Senate GOP just can't do it. Well, I won't say can't, because there is a slim possibility that they end up getting the 50 votes, but right now it's just not looking so hot. And considering the national environment right now, considering the midterm election is right ahead of us, just think about how misguided that is, what kind of betrayal that would be. Imagine if they ended up passing this thing, the kind of galvanization effect that would have on Republican voters. I mean, this thing needs to pass. And on the flip side, think about how hopeless people will feel if they can't get their act together, what kind of effect that's going to have on voter turnout and enthusiasm for Republicans. To be honest, this might hand over the floor to Democrats, and not just in this election, but in many elections to follow, because again, what we're seeing is a refusal to put an end to the Democrat election schemes and games, and the long-term consequences of that might be absolutely, truly dire and devastating, especially if Democrats gain power in the short term, because they will nuke the frickin' filibuster in a heartbeat. They will dismantle the country from within. This is the final window of opportunity. This is the moment, and it all falls on Senator John Thune. I guess we'll have to see if he's got the balls. Anyways, that's what I got. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.
Subscribe.
I have to say, though, for Democrats, I'm not saying that the Save America, the Save Act is going to pass.
Yeah.
But this is not good for Democrats' argument that there's no such thing as undocumented immigrants voting.
All right, Patriots, we got a huge story going on. Now, as you may or may not know, the New Jersey governor, Mikey Sherrill, was forced to come out and admit something that you and I knew been going on for many years. The demon rats have told us for how many years? There's no illegal voting in the elections, and that's against the law. Trump is lying. Republicans are making it up. This is all a big conspiracy theory. Just to turn around and for us to be told that we're 1,000% right. As a matter of fact, this right here says DOJ launches probe into how New Jersey put 6,600 non-citizens on voter rolls. Gives Governor Sherrill 5 days to respond and explain. Now, in case you missed it, because in this video, I'm going to let you in on something that has been exposed, which is that what Mikey Sherrill came out and admitted is literally just a fraction of what's really going on in New Jersey. And we're about to expose it today. As a matter of fact, New Jersey is one of many states where you're about to see the bottom fall out. And for those of you that has followed this channel, remember I told everybody, after the 4th of July, when we celebrated our 250th anniversary, you were going to see a game changing as far as with how these demon rats get prosecuted and held accountable. There was a whole lot going on since 1871, which made the playing field for these demons to do everything they could to destroy our country. And please know, everybody from the Clintons to Obamas to the Pelosi's to the Schumers to the AOCs, all of these people are a part of a humongous cabal that have every intention on destroying the Constitution, the courts, our rights to bear arms, our rights to free speech. If you want to see if what I'm saying is factual, look at what's happening in the UK. They have obliterated the UK Constitution. They've let in every single foreign entity you could think of that's on God's green earth. Matter of fact, in London, when you look at the London political board in UK, they're elected officials. You would think that you were in Palestine or in India. You wouldn't even believe that you were in London, England, because not one of those people that were up there looked to be a natural-born person from the UK. But they've allowed in all the illegals, so they've taken over their entire political structure there in London, and look at what's happening. Their cost of living is higher than ours. Their medical system is worse than ours. They don't have the first. You can literally go to jail in the UK for a post on social media or for saying the wrong thing. But that's what they want. Now, check out what Governor Mikey Sherrill said. This is very brief, only a few seconds. And then wait until you see me follow it up with what CNN was forced to admit. So just a refresher, this is what the governor said.
serious software error in New Jersey's motor vehicle system led to the improper voter registration of what we believe to be roughly 6,600 people in our state. Some individuals indicated that they weren't citizens and weren't eligible to vote, but the software registered them anyway.
So it seems like Mikey Sherrill is coming out and she's getting ahead of this thing and she's just being honest with the people. That's a bold-faced lie. She's been exposed, and the numbers I'm going to show you will prove that what she did was nothing more than a smokescreen. See, she's doing what Democrats do. She's trying to get out ahead of it and create the narrative, place the blame someplace else like they do. Oh, the cost of living, Trump hasn't reduced it. It's Trump's fault to get people misdirected off the fact of what Democrats and Biden did from 2020 to 2024 when prices increased as much as 60% and inflation went to 9.2. And what people don't realize about inflation is that when you have inflation and prices go up, they don't come back down. Even when inflation decreases, inflation still causes things to go up, still reduce the value of the dollar to a point to where, yeah, you can slow inflation, but it doesn't mean you're reducing the price or the cost. And so you got demon rats like her, the governor, jumping out saying 6,600 and only 400 people voted in the elections. And we don't believe it swayed anything. When in a local election for who becomes on the city council, who becomes the mayor, who becomes the local police chief, all of those things can be swayed. 100 votes, definitely 400. Now, I want you to listen to to how ABC News, or is it CBS, on Good Morning America. Now, you heard Mikey Sherrill come out and admit 6,600 on the voter rolls, 400 voted. Allegedly, that's the only number. You and I both know what's going on. But listen to how the mainstream media is portraying it. And then I'm going to show you how CNN was forced to portray it. And then we're going to get into the real deal of not just only what's going on in New Jersey, but what you're about to see exposed nationwide. Check this out.
We're back at New Jersey Governor Mikey Sherrill says that because of a computer error, about 6,600 non-citizens who were registering for a driver's license were also improperly registered to vote. She says a 2023 software glitch at the state's Motor Vehicle Commission led people who are not citizens and were not eligible to vote to be registered anyway. The governor says about 400 of those non-citizens actually voted, but she says there is no evidence that their votes swayed any elections. She says officials became aware of this issue last week and that all 6,600 people are now being scrubbed from their voter rolls. And she is vowing that this will not happen again, saying when they find problems, they will fix them. All of this is coming as President Trump is amping up his unproven claims of widespread election fraud. The president, quick to react to this news out of New Jersey, saying the episode underscores the need to pass his Save America Act, which of course is his bill requiring voter ID and proof of citizenship. According to
Now, did you hear how she threw it out there? How President Trump's, accusations and claims of widespread this, that, and the other, completely unfounded, as if we didn't just hear about 6,600 illegals on the voter rolls and 400 voting. But that's how dumb they believe that the public is. Oh, yeah, Trump's just making stuff up. Even though it's 100% fact, Trump's just making this up. They want people to believe that by President Trump asking for voter ID, and that only American citizens vote, which is the way every other country on the planet does it, that's him wanting to steal and rig elections. And as a matter of fact, do me a solid. Please hit that like button. And if you're not subscribed already to the channel, subscribe. But when you do, make sure you hit the notification bell and select all. That way, you'll be notified when I upload new videos. And if you're really enjoying it, after you hit the like button, if you're on your cell phone and you see that little comment section, if you put your thumb there and swipe left, you see the hype button. If you really like the video after you hit the like button, please hit the hype button. It gives us points and it helps a great deal. I appreciate you watching either way. Now, you hear them passing the buck. So now they're saying it's the software company's fault that these people were added to the motor vehicle registration and were certified to vote. Now, the company is Edemia. This is the company right here, Edemia Public Security. And they operate in 36 states. And in 23 states, they handle the backgrounds, because for 36 states, they handle the giving of authorization of driver's license. But for 23 states, and you already know that majority of them were blue, they handled the quote-unquote background checks. So they're responsible for giving out 70% of the driver's licenses in the USA. So if they want us to believe that there's only 6,600 on the voter rolls, we're not that dumb. As a matter of fact, though, I want you to listen to CNN, who was forced to admit Trump was right. And you know they don't like that. Then we're going to get into what's been exposed since all of this broke. Check this out.
Just listen to this. Cheryl, the governor of New Jersey, made this announcement today. Surprising announcement. Nearly 400 non-citizens voted in New Jersey elections as a result of what she calls a serious software error. Governor Cheryl posted this quote, as the Trump administration tries to weaponize elections for political gain, I'm ensuring we protect our elections. She goes on to say the difference is simple. When we find a problem, we don't hide it, deny it, or invent conspiracies. We investigate it, we fix it, and we tell the public. I have to say, though, for Democrats, I'm not saying that the Save America, the Save Act is going to pass.
Yeah.
But this is not good for Democrats' argument that there's no such thing as undocumented immigrants voting.
This is not good for our country generally, I would say.
Even better.
And this is a terrible problem to have. I think she handled it correctly.
Just listen. Now, you know how those of you that come to this channel, watch this channel, and I put out stuff, you know how we believe. We believe in our president. We believe he's actually trying to do things to help the country. But I have a question for you. Do you believe that these people that support the Democrat Party genuinely believe that what they're doing is for the good of the country, and they genuinely believe the Democrats when they say that there's no cheating, how they're for the people? Or are they just willful idiots, useful idiots that are just in denial? Do you believe they actually believe it, or do they know it's bullcrap and they're just so anti-Trump and Trump deranged that they're willing to ignore it? I'd like to know your opinion.
Hey, Joe, we are not a cult. MAGA don't go out there and protest anything that's stupid, which is like, you know what I'm saying, the scepter rings and rainbow hair color people protesting no king. We voted for Trump. He's not a king. Your people out there wearing frog suits and bunny suits and shit. Hot as hell outside. Protest over the most stupid shit. How you want to abolish ICE? ICE is getting the criminals up out of here. The rapists. The murderers up out of here. Stop talking about the damn Epstein files, because you guys are nasty. You guys don't care about the Epstein files. Check these people hard drive, because they cool with the borders being open. I'm going to keep comparing the borders to the Epstein files, because the border, you guys want these pedophiles to come into the border, through the border. Most of these people are pedophiles. They nasty. They rapists. They murderers. They are not trying to assimilate to America. They want to come in here and cause chaos. But you guys want to let them in, and then you want to get rid of ICE and then defund the police. That's stupid. You need authority. You need protection. All that many people coming to this place, you need protection. That's stupid. You guys want the Democrats told you tomorrow getting rid of prisons. Y'all cool with that as Democrats? Insane. We're not a cult. You guys are. Your guys are so far left that you guys forgot what's going on in front of you guys. You guys gonna lose y'all seats to these socialists. And you can be like, oh man, I should have learned. Because right now, people in New York, they upset what they voted for, Madani. Chicago, the same thing. They upset. They voted for Brandon Johnson. Let's go, Brandon. Trump doing what he said he gonna do. Brandon Johnson and Madani got in there, said they gonna raise property taxes. They raise property taxes. They broke. They need money. They ain't too much dissing Trump too much because they want the money from Trump. They need that federal money. So they too much ain't bashing Trump yet.
I'll state mine at the end. Now, you heard CNN admit what was going on, right? Now, here's a segment from CNN, okay? And then we're going to get into what really happened.
ICE has killed more people under Obama administration than it has been under Trump. Just go ahead and Google it, man. You know what I'm saying? Obama has done way more damage to America than you guys talking about what Trump has done. Period. Just Google it. It's okay. Put the phone down and go ahead and Google it.
Has been exposed since then. Now, I want you to listen as Scott Jennings is going to take this panel to task, as now that this has come out, the lamestream media, like you just heard in that Good Morning America clip, where even though we're talking about New Jersey cheating, somehow Trump gets brought up and Trump gets blamed for something that happened when he wasn't even in office. That was a Democrat governor in New Jersey in 2023. Wasn't like it was a Republican, and he was a corrupt Democrat governor. That's why he got booted out. And they're so ignorant, they put another deep.
Right. Subscribe. 2,238. Subscribe. I'm going to say 2,040. 240. Yep, let's get it.
Rat in, except for this demon rat here, comes with super baggage. Remember, this is the same person that forgot to disclose her $7 million that she had in investments that you're supposed to, like I said, I won't even get into that whole nother video. But check out this segment. Then I'm going to show you what's happened since Mikey Sherrill decided she was going to blame the software company because they wasn't having it. But check this out. On the heels of all of the stuff that's taking place in the country right now, seniors, this may not be a net. You've got everything you need.
Is it 2%?
I don't know, more than 100? I think it's a big problem. What's yours? What's your tolerance for this?
Hold on. This is not about tolerance. This is about, is it widespread or is it something that is relatively rare?
You're pounding him over the word widespread. I just would ask you,
Scott,
what is your tolerance for any fraud at all?
Is it widespread?
Absolutely. It irks me how whenever a conservative is talking, you ever notice how she talks over them? And she is dumb as a...
Oh my gosh, bro. Reginald. Nobody killed the cop on January 6th. Do your research, man. Put the phone down, bro. You doing all the talking points of CNN, all that trash. Nobody died far as a cop. Only a lady was shot by one of the officers during January 6th. After January 6th, all the officers, they all died after January 6th, not during January 6th. Jesus Christ, man. Gee, he said, wow. And he called them insurrections. Trump said go peacefully. But you don't want to hear that part. You don't want to do no research in that. That's why he sued BBC. Because they lied. They edited the video. They didn't play the whole video. Hey.
Spider-Man on 31st.
Good we know.
Spider-Man on Fortnite, 31st.
Mm-hmm. No, they was not killed, man. No cops was killed during January 6th.
Box of rock. She has nothing but a pretty face. That is the only reason they put her up there. She can read because everything that comes out of these people's mouths that are hosts, they're reading it from a teleprompter. They have zero independent thought. Scott doesn't have a teleprompter. Abby Phillips does. Abby Phillips comes out with a note sheet of what she's supposed to say. And every time he talks, she overtalks him. But when the four other demon rats are on the panel with one conservative, they can spew lies uninterrupted. They cut Scott or whoever else subs up there off. They go off on these Trump deranged tangents, and every time the conservative is just trying to get a word out, you've got the host who's supposed to be neutral that is always putting out these dumb, idiotic points or trying to stop them from telling truth so she can spew lies. I apologize. It just irks me when I see this happen.
Absolutely. Over 6,000 people.
What is your bar for widespread?
My bar is I want no tolerance.
Okay.
I have zero tolerance.
So what is your tolerance for American citizens?
By the way, this isn't the only place this is happening.
What is your tolerance for American citizens whose valid voter registrations are invalidated by incorrect databases? What's your tolerance for that?
I don't have tolerance for any mistakes in the electoral system, including putting non-citizens on the rolls.
So then why are we not keeping the same energy for that as we are for this?
I do have energy. As you know, I've come out here and long argued that every time we don't clean up the voter rolls, that every time a non-citizen makes it onto the voter rolls, it invalidates some legal person's vote.
What about when an American is not allowed to vote when they are eligible to vote?
I don't have
any tolerance for that either. American citizens are invalidated.
You guys are a cult. Nobody is MAGA as a cult. You Master Peter too far MAGA, I get it, but we're not a cult, man. Period.
Why are you okay then with the administration using a system that a federal judge recently found was actively removing U.S. citizens from the voter rolls based on inaccurate information? Why are you comfortable with that system being used to check the voter rolls?
This is a convenient deflection for you. This is the worst possible story that could happen for Democrats right now regarding the debate over the SAVE Act. 600 illegal aliens on the rolls in New Jersey that you know about.
Can I tell you where I think this conversation is wrong?
And I apologize again, but this man, I'm going to cut him off. He is the most deranged, ignorant. Oh my God. If I could get in front of him face to face, I would debate his socks off. And he'd be lucky if I don't grab him and punch him dead in the middle of his face, because he is one of the most idiotic, slave-minded, victim mentality having, boot-licking. Oh my God, I cannot stand people like him. He likes to get up there and talk loud like he's just making some point. He's the worst kind. And don't think just because he's black that he's like how I am. All skin folk ain't kinfolk.
Nope.
He is the worst kind of black guy, because he'll lead his people to poison behind the demon rats just so he can keep having a spot on TV, spewing the same BS lies. Now that they've been caught with their hands in the cookie jar, everybody got all of these reasons for it. I'm cutting it right there, so I apologize if you don't get to hear him speak, because what's really going on now, since this has come out, look at this. New Jersey Democrat governor's blame game backfires after the tech company pins non-citizen voter registration on the state. Governor Mikey Sherrill announced roughly 6,600 non-citizens were registered and about 400 ballots cast due to a software error. But that's not what's happening. Matter of fact, check out what's happening, and then matter of fact, let me just let you hear from John Solomon now, and then I'll follow it up. Check out what they found in New Jersey on the heels of Governor Mikey Sherrill coming out spewing this 6,600 crap. Check this out.
As you know, last night, the New Jersey governor admitted that 6,600 illegal aliens had made it onto New Jersey's voter rolls. At least that number could be a lot larger. And 400 of them actually cast a vote. That is the largest number of foreigners ever to vote in any collection of election in American history. When we told you that last night, the governor said, not our fault. It was a software glitch. No big deal. Well, overnight, we reached out to the software company that runs New Jersey's system. And you know what they said? There's no software glitch at all. The state of New Jersey knew they were putting non-citizens, i.e. foreigners, onto the voter rolls. It is the state's responsibility to determine who it.
Appreciate that, Tech. Yeah, I know it's my show, man. I appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? Just give him a little attention before I kick him out. You know what I'm saying? Other than that, it's cool. I'm used to this. I've been doing this for a while now with these guys trolling. I've been called all types of names. Yeah, I appreciate them calling me names because I know I'm doing something right. Because everybody is welcome on the real. If you keep on trolling and being a bot, then yeah, I'm going to kick you out. But other than that, everybody is welcome. My channel's not based on everybody being a Trump supporter. It's just showing common sense, what's going on both sides of the aisle. Both sides is full of shit. Period. I'm 43 years old. I voted Democrat. Now I'm red pill. I'm Republican. I'm MAGA. Ultra MAGA for life. So other than that, like I said, everybody is welcome. I believe in two genders. I believe in marriage. God is in control. Jesus died on the cross for our sins, you know. Without Jesus, we'd not be here because he died on the cross for our sins. Thank you, Jesus.
Eligible vote and who's not. The software had it marked right. That is a major contradiction. And just a little while ago, it's just.
Hey, look, man. Y'all talking about this Nolan Wells and this Carmelo Anthony bullshit. It's bullshit. It's bogus. But where was the outrage when this father that shot and killed 8 of his children and shot 2 of his baby mamas, and I believe one of his baby mama has passed away as well? Where's the outrage for that shit? Stop getting on this bullshit ass, you know what I'm saying, these YouTube channels and talking about some bullshit ass mainstream narrative that's going on popular right now. Rest in peace to Nolan Wells. All condolence and respect to the family. But where was you bastards at when these 8 kids got killed by the father? Where's the outrage for that? Where's Tyler Perry for that? This dude straight snapped and took his family out. All black kids. Black on black crime. There's more people in Chicago right now, today, died more in Iraq, died more in Chicago than have died in Iraq war right now. Google that up. More people in Chicago have died than people have died in Iraq. Period. First of all, I'm from Chicago, Joe. I'm glad you're in the chat. I'm glad you're getting my attention. I don't mind sharing it. I'm from Chicago, so I know what I'm talking about. I live in Rockford now. So you might try to tell me to shut up. That's not going to happen. I'm going to keep on talking when I need to talk.
Attorney General for Civil Rights in the U.S. Justice Department, Harmeet Dillon, announced that there is an investigation of New Jersey now into whether they knowingly were allowing non-citizens to vote and to get on the voter rolls. Remember, a week ago, she sent a letter out saying, if you let non-citizens vote knowingly, you're in trouble. Well, now the vendor's comments raise the very strong possibility that one of the blue states in America may have acceded to allowing non-citizens to vote. We're going to keep a close eye on that. Hope to get Harmeet Dillon on the show the next couple of days to describe what is going on.
So they thought that they was going to pass the buck to the software company. Oh, it's their fault. You know, they did it. Software company said, no, not so fast. Our software works perfectly fine. In Pennsylvania did their test. They don't have any illegals allegedly on their voter rolls that we know of right now. And they're using the same company. So the software company has come out and said, no, that's intentionally being done in New Jersey by the demon rats in New Jersey. But it's worse than that. President Trump has come out and has revealed what the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, has found. And wait till you hear this coming out of New Jersey. Check this one out.
Now infamous primetime address in which he exposed all of the vulnerabilities that exist in our election system. It's only been a few days, and yet today, the New Jersey governor, Mickey Sherrill, was forced to come out in front of the American people and acknowledge that 6,600 non-citizens were registered to vote on their voter rolls. And in fact, acknowledge that 400 or more actually voted, which is really weird because we were all subjected over the weekend to a foreign influence.
He said, so you fine, that's cool, but what else has he done for America? Who need this war? This war been going on for 47 years. Where you been? What happened is Trump's only president is bombing their ass. All the other presidents gave their ass money. Trump bombing them. It's a big difference. Obama gave their ass cash, $1 billion in cash, a pallet in cash. Obama gave them money for the war.
Bot operation to try to convince us that what Donald Trump was exposing was not trustworthy. And yet now we're learning from the Trump administration that in her effort to try to save her own ass, she even understated that number. Yeah.
So you cool with them saying death to America? She say they haven't. No way. Okay, hold on. I'm at the chat.
That's right. The Trump administration and the Department of Homeland Security are now saying that number, 606,000, is very low compared to what their records show, which is 35,152 non-citizens registered to vote in the state of New Jersey. And those are just the ones that got caught. And because Democrats are absolutely refusing to accept any type of responsibility for this, Mickey Sherrill tried to blame the company that supports their voter registration efforts, a company called Endemia, who works with the New Jersey Motor Vehicle Commission and has for 40 years. The problem is they're not playing ball. They're not going to be allowing themselves to be the scapegoat for what Democrats and Democrat states have been allowing and have said the voter registration information is transmitted to New Jersey Department of State, Division of Elections, which is ultimately responsible for verifying eligibility to vote. Now do you understand why all these blue state governors...
Yes, Iran has attacked Americans with both state strikes and operation by Iran-backed proximity military, having caused multiple U.S. casualties over the years. Jordan, Iran, and Syria.
Lieutenant governors and attorney generals are fighting so hard to keep the Trump administration from being able to...
NBC hostage crisis in 1979. Barack bombing. Yeah, they attacked Americans, man.
Force them to hand over their voter files. Now does it make sense? In fact, New Jersey is one of those states who was sued by the Department of Justice back in February of this year for refusing to turn over their voter files. I wonder why. So it's only been a few days.
What are you talking about? Lynching is going on. Where is lynching at? These people committed suicide. There's no lynching going on. These people killed themselves. Do your research. Yeah, nobody do no research. For 47 years, these people have been attacking Americans, man. What was he talking about? When have they attacked us? Lynchings are still. What is you? What?
So you heard that. And so all of this refusal that they did, then they tried to flip it on the software company who said, we've been doing this for 40 years with these states. We haven't ran into this issue before. And if that's something that the software was doing, it would be widespread amongst all of the states, not just blue ones, the 36 that they're in. Now, could that be the case? Could be. But they're coming out saying it's not. And that actually, the Trump administration found 35,152 that are registered. How many of them voted? And we also now know that 400 illegal immigrants voting in the U.S. elections is the largest number in our 250-year history. But like he said, the Democrats literally have bot programs. And what a bot is just an AI program that goes out and does posts on X, comments on YouTube, on Facebook, that'll put out storylines disputing what the Trump administration is saying or downplaying the demonic crap that the Democrats are doing with their voters and with the elections. And it's like it was stated earlier, for every non-citizen vote that's cast, an actual American citizen's vote is eliminated. But the Democrats want us to believe that that's perfectly okay. It's not okay. And on the heels of them trying to go against the Save America Act, now we've got proof. We have irrefutable proof. So the fact that they love to say, well, 2020 is the most secure election, the most secure, and all the presidential elections we've had before. Why if for 2020, before all of the Trump administration contesting it, even leading up to it, you remember how many times they said, and this is going to be the most secure election. This is the most secure. This is the most secure election in the history of our country.
2020 election, the most secure in American history.
Most secure election in American history.
The most secure in American history.
Most secure election in American history.
Most secure election in American history.
The most secure in American history.
Most secure election in American history.
The safest, the most secure election we've ever seen. Cleanest election, the safest election, the most secure election ever run.
Most secure election in American history.
The most secure election in American history.
Every network said it, which lets me know it was the least secure election we ever had. Whenever the demon rats and the mainstream media have a coordinated message, you better believe it's the opposite of what's going on. But I'm going to read a little bit of this. DOJ launches probe into how New Jersey put 6,600, but we know it's 35,152 non-citizens on voter rolls. Now, the governor does only have 5-day deadline because remember, they sent out letters. The DOJ said they're arresting any official that knowingly allows non-citizens, illegal immigrants to vote. Washington. The Justice Department is demanding that New Jersey Governor Mikey Sherrill fork over key data about the 6,600 non-citizens who were erroneously registered to vote, including the people's names. On Tuesday, Governor Mikey Sherrill blamed a serious software error on the state's motor vehicle system involving French tech company Idemia for the mishap that led to roughly 400 non-citizens voting. Assistant Attorney General Carmi Gillett.
2023, 2024, approximately engagements. Iran-backed proximity groups launched more than 180 drones and rocket attack against U.S. base in Iraq and Syria, killing 3 U.S. service members in Jordan, January 2024.
Army Dillon, who helms the DOJ's Civil Rights Division, because that's what's violated, American citizen civil rights, soon thereafter blasted out a missive outlining her demands for the investigation, including the nationalities, registration dates, and other key information for the 6,600 people, who the New Jersey governor has said that she will not turn over. Ensuring that U.S. citizens' votes are not illegally diluted by non-citizens' votes is of paramount importance, Dillon wrote in a letter to Sherrill. Dillon gave the state a 5-day deadline to turn over that information. Non-citizens are not allowed to vote in federal elections. The DOJ also cited the debacle in its ongoing lawsuit against the Garden State seeking access to its voter roll data. The Trump administration has a long history of weaponizing the Justice Department for political purposes and attempting to overturn election results. Sean Higgins, a spokesperson for Cheryl, told the Post. You mean like when he was president and decided to leave office? You talking about that type of flipping? Yeah. Governor Cheryl has been clear that she will use all legal tools available to protect New Jerseyans' personal information, which is a joke because they get their information from the federal government. He already has access to all the information. He just want to know if they're on the voter rolls. Republican Josh Gottheimer of Representative Josh Gottheimer of New Democrat in New Jersey also penned a missive Wednesday demanding the heads of the General Services Administration and the Office of Management and Budget conduct a full review.
I'm pretty sure with these smartphones, you can do a split screen where you can still watch the live stream of this YouTube channel and still go to Google search and research what we're talking about. It's not that hard. All these smartphones got dual screens now. So go ahead and do that if you think what we're talking about is a lie or not fact, because it is.
Of Edemia's federal contracts. So and they want this company audited too, y'all. So since they didn't decide to lay down and take the blame, now Democrats doing what Democrats do are going to weaponize the federal government against them. But not against the illegals that voted. No, Mikey Sherrill's going to protect them. Edemia runs systems such as TSA pre-check and driver's license programs in most states. Sherrill revealed that the state has hired an outside group, CSG, to investigate the matter, which will ostensibly look into failures on the state side as well. There are some of the things they've quickly gotten together so that we had an understanding of the scope here and what we were dealing with, she explained at a press conference. GOP critics, including President Trump, have cited the fiasco in New Jersey as a case in point for why more robust safeguards are needed to ensure election integrity. Trump has spent months crusading for passage of the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Save America Act, which would require proof of citizenship to vote, among other measures. Just last week, Trump has suggested in his primetime address to the nation that the Garden State had nearly 35,152 people wrongly put in its voter rolls. A figure Cheryl said is unproven. She didn't say it's wrong. She said it's unproven. The debacle took place under former Governor Phil Murphy's administration long before Cheryl became governor. Idemia seemingly put the onus on the state for failing to verify the voter data after Cheryl threw the vendor under the bus Tuesday. Idemia's role is to transmit information through the motor vehicle system, the company said in a statement. The voter registration information is transmitted to the New Jersey Department of State, Division of Elections, which is ultimately responsible for verifying eligibility to vote. Information submitted by Idemia must still be validated and adjudicated by the Division of Elections. So let's just say their software did glitch and send it through. The Department of Elections is supposed to catch, see, and remove it. Not happening. If 6,600 were exposed and 400 actually voting was exposed, you and I both know there are probably tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrants who have voted in elections going back how far? 4 years? 10 years? 15 years? Who knows? But what we know now is that the bullcrap smokescreen they tried to pull has been exposed. Democrat mask off moment, which is what I have been speaking into existence on this channel. So I just wanted to bring you this to let you know it's just getting started. There's more shoes that's going to drop in New Jersey and in other places around the country. And hopefully this puts a fire under the Republicans to get the Save America Act passed. But here's the
Subscribe, everybody.
Good news.
It's been 2 hours and 31 minutes. Been streaming with you guys. Really appreciate it. 2 hours and 30 minutes. Appreciate it.
Even though they're tripping, Georgia passed legislation for only Americans to vote. Florida did the same thing. Texas, there's other states who are saying, okay, Senate, y'all want to BS? We're going to create our own Save America Act. And guess what? They're still using the name Save Act within their state constitutions and state charters to pass these laws. So like I said, traditionally, Democrats or whoever is the party out of power typically wins the midterm. That's the only reason every
America Act, the funding bill, you get
everything, sir. I say that with all due respect, and we are personal friends. It's not, but you're bungling everything. Nothing is getting done.
You know, I have seen some amazing public executions in my lifetime before on live TV, but I gotta say, I've never seen anything quite like this. Coming from the most unlikely source, Larry Kudlow from Fox Business? Totally, absolutely decimating the rhino how many times have I said this? The worthless GOP. I've said this so many times. I'm just as mad and frustrated with the worthless GOP as I am with the criminal, terrorist, communist Democrats. This was a slaughter, and it was beautiful. It's what we always wanted. This, you have to just watch this full exchange. It's like Kudlow somehow tapped into the pulse. I mean, how old is Kudlow? 162? I have no idea. This guy somehow tapped into the zeitgeist. He's a voice of a generation. This is like a Bob Dylan moment. I'm not even kidding you. This was unreal. I got chills when I was watching this. And you can see Langford, who's such a rhino swamp vermin, he's stupefied. Look at his eyes. He's like, I just walked into a live TV ambush. I'm going to share with you this entire clip. You have to watch this carefully. Plus, Jack the Ripper Smith. We finally going to get justice. Huge news regarding him. But first, watch this.
Right now, you, the leadership in both houses, are bungling everything, sir. I say that with all due respect, and we are personal friends. It's not, but you're bungling everything. Nothing is getting done. Your messaging is non-existent. You've lost your swag, your swagger, your riz, or whatever the young people say. No one knows what the heck you're doing, sir. They have no idea.
Yeah, you're welcome. And this is part of the challenge we've got with all of our media friends out there that continue to be able to beat up on Republicans and say Republicans are all the problem. But apparently the socialist Democrats in New York City, they seem to be perfect because most conservative media right now is beating up on Republicans and just ignoring the socialists who are running rampant all over the country. So I look back on what happened with the One Big Beautiful Bill. I look at the housing bill we just passed. There's a lot of things that are going on that are good, and I understand.
Nobody has attacked Mondami more than I have, for heaven's sake. That isn't the point.
I wasn't saying that just about you. I was saying
that isn't the point.
This is the challenge that we're up against.
What
right now.
is it that your policy is? Senator Langford, my friend, what is your policy? Where are the tax cuts? Where are the spending cuts? Where's the waste, fraud, and corruption reduction? Where is all of that? Where is the reconciliation bill? Where's the straight talk and messaging for the midterms? Where's the growth messaging? Where's the we're going to make it better for taxpayers and working folks messaging? Come on, Senator.
Glad to be able to take it on, Larry. Glad, and again, you and I are friends. We've talked through all this stuff before. So let's just start with last year and what's coming out right now on all the tax policy. Obviously, tax rates didn't go up. We dealt with permanent expensing for all of our businesses and trying to be able to make sure they're growing. They're growing. The reason we're actually dealing with growth right now, you are an expert on this. You know it full well, is because the changes we made in last year's tax bill. We'd love to do more on that, and we.
You know, I used to teach Aristotle's Principles of Rhetoric, which is essentially argumentation, persuasion, ethos, pathos, logos. And I was always able to, thank God, you know, there's a lot of things I'm bad at, but thank God that God blessed me with what Hemingway used to call that indisputable bullshit detector, that internal BS detector that every good, human being, he used to say every great writer or author needs to have. And to me, I equate what a great author is with somebody who's hyperbolically aware, present, able to see things that other people can't. And so I feel like I was very, very lucky. Like I said, I'm not saying this for ego. I have a lot of bad qualities too, but I was blessed with a great BS detector. And boy, Langford, it's like the meter, the alarm bells, the ringing on my BS detector, it's about to break the entire set. Let me know if you agree.
We will be able to do a lot more on that, but we're still getting all of those things implemented right now. The housing bill that we just passed starts a whole different process of taking the federal regulations, trying to make housing cheaper for everybody. Right now, all of the different pieces on fraud are being implemented on SNAP, on the food stamp fraud that's been happening around the country. That's being implemented right now. That is billions of dollars in savings. It's also putting work requirements on individuals and taking away the rights of people that are illegally present in the United States to be able to get these extra benefits. All those are things that are happening right now because Republicans actually put those in place. So there's a lot of things that are going on.
Look, the one big beautiful bill is good. Okay, nobody fought for that harder than I did, but that was a year ago. What have you done for me lately? What have you done this year? Okay, so the point is, and let me ask you,
the housing bill.
I think that, by the way, let's take the housing bill. You've done nothing on the tax side. It's mostly spending. The regulatory stuff is local. You can't control that. The housing bill, frankly, was an Elizabeth Warren special, okay? And I don't think it's going to help them one single bit. Getting mortgage rates down would be more important than anything in there.
True,
but you're not helping people. You're not helping people with their mortgages. See, if you sell a home, if an empty nester sells a home, they have to pay a humongous capital gains tax on the inflation. Was Joe Biden's inflation or COVID inflation, whatever, they're not getting a break. You're not inflation indexing that. You didn't raise the allowance for capital gains. It should have gone to $1 million or even $2 million, for heaven's sakes, to offset the inflation of the last 30 years. This could have been done. When you talk about, you're saying what food stamps and so forth, what new legislation have you proposed that takes out all the people that are fraudulently receiving Medicaid benefits, Medicare benefits, hospice benefits, and yes, food stamp benefits? And why are you spending more money on farmers that have already received enormous amounts of money? I mean, after all, this stuff, where are you draining the swamp, Senator Langford? That's what people...
Let me save you some time, Larry. He's doing nothing.
are asking.
Let me walk through those if you'll give me a chance to be able to talk through it. Medicaid, we just made major changes on Medicaid. And again, individuals that are not legally present off of that made major changes in Medicaid and actually adding work requirement, just like there are on other benefits on that. That is actually bringing people off welfare and putting them to work on that. We're already seeing that in place. We talked about the food stamps and what we're doing on the fraud piece on that. Right now, Dr. Oz just met with him 2 weeks ago. They've just closed down a ton of hospices that have popped up into the LA area on it, which we've seen a ton of fraud on. The administration's taken the steps on that. Congress is backing them up on that to make sure that we're able to protect them. That's something the law that they already had to be able to enforce. They're actually enforcing that law in there. So there are good things that are happening.
But you're not, those
a lot easier to talk about the rest.
But those aren't legislative. Those are administrative. And
two of the three things I just mentioned were legislative.
Which is legislative?
So the food stamp piece, the Medicaid piece, both those deal with the fraud reform.
From last year.
Correct, but you said nothing's been done on that. I want to identify something has been done. Look, it was billions of dollars in changes.
You all are talking about continuing resolutions, and you're talking about another reconciliation bill. And I want to know is what is going on in those bills, because we've learned a lot in the past year about waste, fraud, and corruption. So I'm asking you, what are you doing now to look? I know Emmett Oz is doing the Lord's work. I like the fact that Robert Kennedy has taken $1 billion out. I understand that, but those aren't codified. That's not new legislation. That could be overturned by a Democratic Congress. If you're going to have a reconciliation bill, Senator, you've got to put this stuff into it, and it's not going into it. I don't even think the Senate leadership wants a reconciliation bill, does it? And there's no one in the Senate leadership talking about cutting taxes on ordinary working folks so they can sell their mortgages without paying for Joe Biden's inflation.
You tell them, Larry. So what you're talking about is actually a House proposal right now, Larry. That's what's funny about this. The Senate hasn't put out the reconciliation proposal. You're complaining about what the House is putting out today on that one. I'd love for you to get Speaker Johnson on board to be able to talk about that. But I'm just saying the Senate hasn't even put that out yet. So you're talking about you're talking about what's included in the Senate proposal. The Senate hasn't put anything out yet.
Are you? Are you going to put some out?
We are going to put something out. It probably won't be this week on it because we're waiting for the House to be able to send their proposal over. That's the way the system works, as you know extremely well. The House is got to be able to send those over. Then the Senate's able to be able to take it up. Ron Johnson, who is now leading that effort for the Senate, be glad to be able to talk you through some of the strategy that he's running on that.
I just had him on the show yesterday. Ron Johnson's a good man. He's the supply sider. But I'm not hearing, you see, I'm not hearing any talk about tax cuts. I'm not hearing any talk about waste, fraud, and abuse. What I gather, just reading Senator Thune, there may not even be a continuing resolution, but if there is a continuing resolution, it's not going to have any of this stuff in it. That you're going to get the Save America Act, the funding bill. You're going to need reconciliation for that. Where is it? You're saying wait for the House. The House has already passed a CR. They're still haggling over resolution. You're not even going to be here. You don't work 5 days a week. You're going to take off for a month. Where is it going to happen, Senator?
Larry, you're talking about the House again. The Senate's still here next week. Why don't you get Speaker Johnson on board to be able to have
but
this
you're going to be gone for a month. You know that. You're going to be gone for the Senate.
If you would have told me a year ago, forget a year, a month ago, a week ago, a day ago, that Larry Kudlow would literally be my hero, I would have been like, you are completely out of your mind. That was amazing. That's what I've been saying almost every day on our show. That you want to get mad at the Democrats? Yes, the Democrats are mutineers. They're traitors. They exhibit acts of sedition almost every time they open their mouths, almost every time they do anything. They're just a bunch of ne'er-do-wells that do nothing. What Langford is as the Italians used to say, you're telling me everything, but you're saying nothing. You're telling me everything. He's just talk, but you're saying absolutely nothing.
Nothing.
This is the difference. This is why I don't say Trump is a Republican. This is why I'm not a Republican. I'm definitely not left, but I'm not with this vermin, this swamp, embedded, pencil-nosed, rigid, lifeless, never achieved anything, just administrative pencil pushers. I'm not these guys either. I like to think of myself as also putting myself out there as the man in the arena. Maybe that's a little bit too much. Okay, maybe not the man in the arena. I don't want to put myself in that category, but I love America, and I try to fight for America every day, and I think Trump does the same.
Hey, Regina, you keep on talking about some KKK. You know Joe Biden best friend was Robert Byrd, a Kliegel, a Klansman. You know that, right?
Thing. He's just talking. This is a once-in-a-generational opportunity. We have the House. We have the Senate. We have the executive branch. With all intents and purposes, we put the right chess pieces in place. I know it doesn't seem like that with some of the last verdicts, a couple of the last verdicts, but with all intents and purposes, we practically have the judiciary. This is why I did that video yesterday of Trump in Marietta, Georgia. Vintage classic. If you missed that video, you got to go check it out. It's on my channel. Vintage. Saying, that's it. I'm done with these guys, man. Call Thune right now. Tell him to get the Save America Act passed.
But see, about this, Mr. Boski, they're going to say, well, he said he changed. He's no longer a member. He gave it up years ago. Okay, well, it's the same thing. If Trump was a racist, then he's not racist now. But they want to hear that narrative. They want to hear that part. They're gonna defend this person. Like Graham Plattner. They're gonna defend him. The man got a fucking Nazi tattoo for 20 years. They're gonna defend the man. The man done some crazy shit with women. They all came out and said he did it. They still defended him till the man finally just stepped down. The Democrat Party was putting that man up there on the pedestal. Like, we need him. He's our guy. Crazy. Everything they accuse Trump of, they doing it. They love the Nazis. They call Trump a Nazi, but they love Trump. They call Trump a king and no king, but yet King Charles come to town. They celebrate. They happy when King Charles came to town. That's crazy.
Duke the filibuster, because these ruthless, cutthroat, anti-American, Bolshevik, communist Democrats are going to do the same thing. Larry, God bless you, sir. You're a hero of mine. I am a huge fan. I was always sort of kind of like, yeah, Kudlow, whatever. Never really not a fan, but never really a fan either. You've got, you're number one in my book, brother. And I'd love to have you on my show, Larry, because...
Yeah, some of these people out here in this chat are assholes, you know what I'm saying? I got to get rid of them all, you know what I'm saying? I need some of these people still in the chat, especially with the algorithm. You can't block everybody. It hurts the numbers, hurts the algorithm. Despite the bullshit they say, he does hurt the algorithm. We keep on blocking everybody. Because the whole thing is, we block everybody, how we get a chance to help change their mind. Renew their mind. You know what I'm saying? With good conversation, common sense, and peace. I know it's annoying, some of these people. I want to block some of these people too. They are annoying, keep saying the same stupid shit. It's like I want to show everything on the planet to show them, like, look, here's the information, here's the facts. But you already know, we show them all the facts in the world. They're going to still be like, no. They don't want to hear the truth. They get in their feelings. But yeah, don't block everybody, man. Give them a chance. I mean, if they keep on trolling, then yeah, get rid of their ass. But they keep on interacting, keep conversating, go ahead and let them stay.
You did an absolutely splendid job roasting Langford and really roasting the do-nothing GOP on live television. So thank you for that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Okay, we have a new referral to the DOJ, criminal referral after Trump posted this. So Trump posting this today, justice at last? 3 question marks. With the Just the News link caption there, House panel accuses Jack Smith of lying to Congress, urges DOJ to prosecute. Are we going to finally see Jack the Ripper Smith, who lied, who committed ultimately treason, weaponizing the DOJ at the behest of Obama, because we know Biden wasn't really president. Kamala's lost in the weeds. Check out this report right here. Jim Jordan, our man from Ohio, referring Jack Smith for criminal charges. Watch.
Someone needs to be held accountable, and maybe it is, in fact, Jack Smith.
Is this a violation of constitutional rights?
Yeah.
It is. Were you caught up in this?
Oh, yeah. I mean, they got my phone logs. There were 44 members of the United States Congress, senators, members of the House, even some Democrats, a handful of Democrats were caught up in this. And again, this, you can't do that. As Senator Hawley just said, this is a separation of powers issue. There's a speech or debate clause. It was supposed to be filtered and screened. It wasn't. It was just given from the National Archives to Jack Smith's team. But like we always say, Sean, the one thing we get wrong when we start these investigations, the one thing we always get wrong is that it's always worse than we thought. So it wasn't just and never forget the toll records issue. Remember, 16 days after Kevin McCarthy becomes Speaker of the House, Jack Smith goes and gets his phone records from the carrier, the top Republican in government, the guy second in line to the president. Jack Smith knew who he called, who called him, when the call took place, how long the call lasted. He can pattern someone's life. Who's the Speaker of the House talking to before big votes, after big votes? Well, that is just wrong. That is a total separations of powers issue that they violated. And they went to another branch of government, got that information without a warrant. They got it and they didn't screen it. And then Jack Smith under oath says, no, we didn't get any contents. Well, Shazam, it looks like they did. And it looks like he wasn't square with us when he testified in front of our committee. And we will look at a referral possibility. We're already looking at that. Do we need to refer him to the Justice Department, to Attorney General Blanche, for them to go ahead and move forward with prosecution? We're looking at that as we speak.
You know, we're friends. I've already had private text messages with you released to the public, and Mark Meadows released, and Kayleigh McEnany, when she worked at the Trump White House, released. Paul Manafort, like 55 pages of my private text messages. You know, at what point, you know, do I have any recourse in terms of my private rights in all of this?
I think Senator Hawley's right. Yeah, I think Senator Hawley's right. The recourse is holding people accountable. We've deposed 6 people on Jack Smith's team. We referred one of them for prosecution because he was trying to obstruct our investigation. As I said, we're now looking at what Jack Smith said to us under oath. Did he violate? Did he lie to Congress? We're looking at that. It sure looks like he might have not been square with us. And if that's the case, we will refer him, as I said. But when you put it together, the toll records and now getting contents, that is just as wrong as it gets. And it is not supposed. And then what Senator Hawley said, you couple this with all the other things the Biden-Garland Justice Department did, with moms and dads going to school board meetings and being spied on, with pro-life Catholics being labeled extremists, all the other things they did. Someone needs to be held accountable, and maybe it is in fact Jack Smith.
All right, beyond lying under oath, what other charges do you see as possible?
Well, I'll leave that up to the Justice Department, but what we could do a referral on is not being square with Congress, for lying to Congress while under oath during the deposition, during the hearing. That's what we could refer on. And again, as I said, we are having our lawyers on the committee look at that, and we will make a decision on moving forward with that here real soon.
And it turns out that decision was made today. Jim Jordan has made the referral to the DOJ. I mean, this is like some North Korea stuff. I mean, when President Trump says that communism is the biggest threat we've ever had in our country, these communists infiltrating, hijacking the Democrat Party, getting elected to positions of leadership, able to enact legislation, that should ring the alarm bells everywhere. I mean, this is like an inherent trait. It's in their DNA, these Democrats, to lean towards communism and state control, government control tactics. Why? Because they can't handle independence. They can't handle the values and principles that our country was founded on. They can't handle free markets. They can't handle freedom and liberty for anybody, the individual and the like. Spying on people, text messages, this is scary, scary stuff. And I will keep you posted on everything that comes of this. I can't wait to get your thoughts on this, but I mean, we need to keep fighting. You can help me spread. You can help me make common sense go viral. Tap the thumbs up. It doesn't cost you a thing. Even if you're watching on your TV, you can do it with your remote. Share this everywhere. I can't wait to hear from you. Leave me a comment down below. Thank you so much for watching. Check out these videos. Just in case you missed them, you can also tap my face right here to subscribe and follow. It doesn't cost you a thing. If you want our one-of-a-kind merch right, you can check the...
Subscribe.
Something's happening to the Democrat Party, and some of the most prominent Democrats are admitting it. We're talking something so absolutely devastating that many are predicting the party itself won't survive. A number of Democrats are sounding the alarm, but no one inside the party is listening. Stick with the very end of this video because we're going to see why the Democrats are literally on the verge of losing everything and why some of the most prominent Democrat voices in the nation are already jumping ship. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor, enjoying yet another glorious day in the Trumpian golden age that you made possible back in November 2024. So if you want a front row seat on how you continue to change the world in ways you never even imagined, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. This week, some of the most prominent liberals in the nation shocked their fellow Democrats by openly declaring that the party was on the verge of collapse. The culprit? Democratic Socialists, Mamdani, AOC, Ilhan Omar, Seattle Mayor Katie Wilson, what even the liberals at the Atlantic are calling a parasitic movement that's taking over the Democrat Party. You don't have to look far to find articles on this. A young, vigorous, idealist, popular...
Okay, I see what you're saying, Red Hood. You're right. They'll boot us out if we go to their chat. You're right. It's fucked up. It's fucked up.
This left movement is winning Democrat primaries all across the nation, and it's absolutely panicking party insiders, most particularly Van Jones of the Obama administration. He's coming out and he's openly sounding the alarm on this rising socialist movement within his own party.
I am tired of a set of people on the very far left in the Democratic Party. Ideas that are literally insane, nutty, moronic, dangerous, bigoted, are not progressive. They're regressive, and they should not be in our party.
Now, keep in mind, that's nothing less than a former Obama official warning that Democrat socialists inside the party are, in his own words, going to kill the Democrat Party. They're going to destroy what's left of the Democrat coalition, and they're going to...
You see, you make a quick statement and leave. I don't blame you. Going to hit a jab. Hit a jab and get the fuck up out of there. I understand.
Guarantee that the Democrats remain permanently in the minority. I don't know whether we should fear them or thank them. And he's not alone. Bill Maher is now saying, in many ways, the once unthinkable.
I'm not living in communist America. I mean, I know the talking point is, well, it's not communism, it's socialism. Okay, I've read the quotes from the DSA platform, from their own mouths. Don't tell me I'm not seeing what I am seeing. They say things like, you know, takeover of key industries, government. That's communism.
And he's absolutely right. There's literally no difference between.
And that's amazing because he's a multi-millionaire. He ain't worried about no government ran store or anything government ran. You know, he's a multi-millionaire. They go to show you that they went too fucking far left with this doggone Democrat socialist trash. You got Bill Maher flipping his voting MAGA. Bill Maher say he gonna vote for JD if JD run for president. Yeah, you Democrat Party, y'all lost, man. It's over with. Midterms, it's all odds, MAGA. Red, vote red.
What's being advocated by these democratic socialists and full-blown communism, precisely because they're both Marxists. And this is a distinctively cultural Marxism. We've talked about this before, what these democratic socialists are pushing. It's a cultural Marxism as opposed to an economic or class Marxism. It's technically known as Third Worldism. Third Worldism is a post-colonial political ideology. It was actually originally born in the Algerian Revolution of the 1950s and 60s. It's been forged by thinkers like Frantz Fanon and given Western intellectual cover by Jean-Paul Sartre. And its central claim is as simple as it is fanatical. The world is divided into oppressors and oppressed, with Western civilization always representing the chief oppressive evil on the planet. We are Sauron. The West is Sauron. We are Satan, literally. The West is the eternal colonizer, and any force that rises up to resist this eternally evil West is by definition morally righteous and politically virtuous. And this is key. Any and all tactics that the third world employs.
All right, CRX, you going spearfishing? That's what's up, man. Have a good one, man. Have a good one, man. Get a good catch on the reel. That's what's up. I'll be back tomorrow, sometime tomorrow. I'll be back.
Third world being the chief upriser, the chief resistor against this evil West. Any and all tactics that the third world employs to overthrow the oppressive West are absolutely justified. Anything they do, violence, terror, doesn't matter.
Yes,
even the Hamas attacks of October 7th, all of it is not. It's not just justified, it's actually morally mandated. So this isn't...
Right, this will be the last video for the day. We got maybe 13 minutes left for the video. I'll be back for you guys. I appreciate it.
Mere political policy. This is a moral creed. And that's what makes this so dangerous. Zineb Rabua of the Hudson Institute says it best. She's noted that in Zoran Mamdani's politics, the landlord morphs into the colonizer, the tenant into the colonized. The New York City Police Department becomes the occupier, right? So, I mean, just it's like this Israel-Palestine situation. Palestine, for third worldists, is the centerpiece of the global moral struggle. Israel is cast as the last fortress of Western imperialism, and Islam in this framing isn't about faith. It's a badge of resistance against the West, a sacred resistance. So this is why Mamdani can freeze rents one week and rally for a full arms embargo on Israel the next. It's the same ideology.
No, I understand, Red Hood. I appreciate you, man. No problem, man. You all good. You won't budge? No, you can. I appreciate you defending me. I appreciate it. We defend each other. Nothing wrong with that. But no, somebody got to send in the chat some 8647. You know what I'm saying? I had to delete that right there. I'm like, come on, man. You guys on bullshit. That's what I'm saying. Stuff like that, you got to get rid of it. Ain't no point in having it in the chat. Nobody got time to wish death to nobody. You know, they can't be seen. They need to be get up out of here. Get rid of them on the real. I feel you, Red Hood, man. I feel all you guys. I appreciate it. It is unfair. We go to other people's chat and we speaking the truth, and they boot us up out of there. Like, damn, give me a chance. Let's engage. You know what I'm saying? They boot you right up out of no time. That's crazy. Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah, get rid of. Ain't no point. We got no time for evil. We can agree and disagree, but all the evil stuff, no, man, that's not cool.
It's the same war, just fought on different front lines. Housing is a colonial metaphor. Policing is occupation. And America itself is the empire that must be dismantled from within.
I know what I seen in the chat.
Mamdani did not come to New York to fix the subway. He came to remake America in the image of a post-colonial Marxist
I don't want Trump
revolution.
to be removed. I voted for Trump. Why he should be removed? I voted for him. Like Biden was not here. We told you guys in the beginning for you guys voted for Biden. Biden is not here. The man brain is not here, but you guys went with it and voted for Biden. Biden falling up the stairs, down the stairs. The man shaking ghosts. You know what I'm saying? He didn't know where he was going. He had the Easter Bunny tell him where to go. It's crazy.
And that's exactly what Van Jones is recognizing.
I've been waiting my whole life to see a youth movement do what it's doing, but it's being hijacked by people who are putting in nutty ideas supporting terrorists, nutty ideas saying that we don't need cops in prison. We can't deport anybody even if they rape somebody. Who said this? Chevalier. If we can't say right from wrong, if we can't say good from bad, if we can't separate progressive ideas from regressive ideas, we're going down the same pathway that has pulled the Republican Party into an unrecognizable shell of itself. And I refuse to let that happen today.
Yeah, of course he's got to take a shot at Trump there. Van Jones is just exposing there his own ignorance of what's really happening to his party. They're fundamentally different movements. Trump's GOP is growing because of what he's doing. The Democrat Party is collapsing because of what these third worldist socialists are doing. Trump's party is thriving, whereas their party is dying. And none other than one of the single most important Democrat strategists is openly saying precisely that. One of the most important things you can do for your home and your family is be prepared before an emergency ever. Moments like that to get yours today.
But yeah, you gotta get the blue shields for a reason. I trust all you guys with the blue shields. You know what I'm saying? I trust you guys. Appreciate it. Yeah, these people out here be tripping in the chat. That's why I gave you guys the blue shields to help me out with it. Appreciate it.
Mr. Valiant, the New York Times reported, and I have the quote right here, I'll get to it. She is against past our far-left views. She has attacked interracial relationships in the American flag. Lady, I ain't in the same party as you. I'm sorry. I just not. And I actually do think it's time for Democrats to talk the S word, schism. I really do. And everybody's always said, no, we're coalition, we're big tent.
You got James talking about it? Man, you know the Democrat Party is losing. You got James Carville, how do you pronounce his last name? He going against the shit? You know what's something going on the real, because this guy hates Trump. And he telling the Democrat Party to straighten up. Y'all going too far left. That speaks volume.
And there's just some shit that I can't be in the same camp with. So I just cannot. Maybe there's a way that you can say to, I guess Mandami is the leader of it, is, you insist that, try to insist that the people that run under your banner run as a democratic socialist and don't use the Democratic Party as your guideline, and let's negotiate the terms of a schism here. Maybe we can part under some kind of advantageous terms for both of us. But I'm done. I'm not in that fucking political party. I am totally comfortable in a political party that spends time questioning the policies of the government of Israel. In fact, I'm enthusiastic about that. I don't want to be in a political party that denies the right of the state of Israel to exist. That's just not, I just can't do that. I'm sorry. It's just not doable.
Yeah, it's time for Democrats to talk about the S word, right? Schism. Let that sink in. This isn't some random pundit. This is the architect of the modern Democrat Party under Bill Clinton, publicly floating the idea that his own coalition needs to break into two. He's openly stating that if the Democrats go the way of the third worldist Marxists, it will cease to be a viable national party, as it ought. James Carville is stating this. He thinks that if the party goes the way of the Mamdanis and the AOCs and the Ilhan Omars, it should implode. So he, like Van Jones and Bill Maher, don't want to have anything to do with this new radical far-left cultural Marxist third worldist nonsense that's taking over the Democrat Party in so many American cities as we speak. The Guardian reported that the party's old guard, like James Carville, is abandoning the old what they call blue no matter who banner, and they're pushing for a more formal break with their progressive wing. And Carville has since doubled down on all of that. He's warning that the socialist victories that we're seeing in these cities all across the country, they may signal the end of the two-party system. He said he can't see a future where two parties dominate American politics the way they have for the past century, meaning that it is the Democrats who are about to split. Now, again, if you've been with this channel for some time, and if not, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button, but we've often talked about the effect that woke cultural Marxist movements and politicians have on the Democrat Party, right? Their radical communist politics actually splits the left in America. This is why Van Jones is full of, he just doesn't seem to get. He doesn't get, this is what he does not get when he draws comparisons with Trump's GOP, right? He's there saying, I don't want to happen to my party what happened to the GOP. What? That's BS. That's total and complete BS. Trump's party is stronger than ever. Well, the Democrats are weaker than ever. These are apples to oranges. What's happening to the two parties are not the same thing. Democrats, socialists are destroying their party while Trump saved ours. And it's very easy to see how the Democrats are destroying themselves. So if you ask any group of leftists if they support Mamdani or the Democrat Socialist Agenda or BLM or whatever, half of the left will say, yeah, we're all for it. But the other half of the left, the Bill Maher half, the James Carville half, they're going to say, heck no, I don't want to have anything to do with this. But note, that's just half of the equation, because while this cultural Marxist wokeness is splitting the left, it is at the same time uniting the right, in that if you ask everyone on the right if they support this third worldist wokeness, they're going to say it's complete nonsense. 100% of them are going to say no way. So that's the political suicide that these social democrats, these cultural Marxists, are playing out here. They are guaranteeing a political environment where more people will always come out and vote against them than vote for them. They'll split the left and unite the right, and they'll create a 75-25 coalition right away. That's the fundamental difference. Trump has orchestrated the opposite. He's orchestrated a party that's openly championing the issues the vast majority of the American people want. Border security, mass deportations, energy independence, manufacturing sovereignty, celebrating our culture and customs rather than denigrating them. The woke third worldist left is the complete opposite. They're consistently on the 20 side of any and all 80-20 issues. Why? Because they represent half the Democrat Party. If you split Democrats and Republicans, I know it's simplistic, we're leaving out independents, but just to make it easy, if you split the party, so 50 or split the electorate 50% Democrat, 50% Republican. What happens when only half the Democrat Party supports something? It's only 25%. There's your 75-25, 80-20 split. That's why Trump is consistently on the 80% side of the 80-20 issues, and Democrats are consistently on the 20% side of the 80-20 issues. That's what's tearing their party apart. Put it all together, and you can see the pattern crystallizing. Progressive socialism captured the machinery of the party in places like New York City, Chicago, Seattle. They delivered exactly the kind of incompetent governance you'd expect: bloated budgets, spiraling deficits, radical rhetoric that alienates ordinary voters. And now the party's own architects are sounding the alarm in public, on record, with their names attached, recognizing that the future of the party is indeed dire. For years, we on this channel said that the Democratic Party's radical wing would eventually eat itself alive. Ladies and gentlemen, the man who built the modern Democrat Party is now openly negotiating the terms of his own exit, live on his own podcast in prime time. Whether that's a civilized civil war or a schism or a literal end of the two-party system, as Carville himself now fears, one thing is for certain: this party did not just lose an election. It lost its own identity, its own leadership, and now quite possibly itself. You've got enough on your plate. You shouldn't have to babysit the news cycle too. Let me carry that noise for you.
There you go. There you have it, you guys. Like, share, and subscribe, everybody. I appreciate you guys being with me. Appreciate it. Love each other. Pray for each other. America is a great place. I'll be back tomorrow. Like, share, and subscribe.